live. Let's try that. Go live. I don't know if it actually did it. I think we did it. Oh my gosh. Let me get in here. Monetization. We definitely want to monetize. Man, we need to buy some damn blankets. Some blankets. We need to buy some electric blankets for this winter. We pay the electric bill for my mother-in-law, and it went up 50% this last month. And she like hardly uses nothing. She's like a $60, more than that. It doubled. It didn't just go up 50%. It went up 200%. Went from like $185 to $250 because she plugged in electric heater and stuff. How you guys doing that just showed up in there? Everything going good, I hope. We're actually going to do some Guns of Glory stuff this evening. RogersRaiders.com/Discord. Y'all get in there. We are not going to be pushing the freaking Twitch somewhere. I have done some reviewing on what's good out there in the gaming influencer market area, and frankly, as bad as YouTube is right now, it's still the best thing out there by long shots. Nothing else is worth the time that I put into it, that's for sure. I'm going to be coughing a little bit tonight. I have to run out of here and get me something to. Gonna have to go get me a cough drop here, I guess. All right, so we got some stuff to do here. We need to get. Where is my decks? We got to get the game open. Let's get the Guns of Glory game open now, shall we? Decks. And man, fair warning. Oh, okay. Fair warning to myself. I had a power supply go out on the computer. It was like the fan was trying to mine coal over here, just chattering away. And that meant taking the computer system apart. Not a big deal. But it means I recabled everything. Because you know you do that. Every time you take your computer apart, every cable's got to be realigned, reorganized. How are things in K609? How is things in K609? I'm not in K609, man. If somebody's using my name, they're lying to you. Luke, are you a subscriber? I am not in K609. Never have been. Never, not even as a test account. Restart in full screen mode. Oh, hold on. You can't see that because, and this is not a problem with me. This is a problem with Windows. Every time Windows does an update, it decides to completely destroy all my equipment. And I forgot to fix it before I went live. Screen _ decks. There we go. I need to make that bigger, I guess. Properties, Samsung, decks, dink, and dink, and dink. That's not what I'm wanting. Decks. There we go. Now you can see what I'm doing. Okay. I can kind of see what's going on there with Pirate Opoly. I'll be honest, I hadn't actually logged into the game before tonight in at least a month. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go into I'm going to go and we are going to, what am I going to do? Oh, settings, account, switch account. I think we're playing with a Twitter account, weren't we? Authorize. I might need to get a text here. Yeah. So what did everybody think about Elon Musk telling everybody you're going to work your ass off or you can go work somewhere else? Ha ha! I thought that was, I've never heard that from anybody, but man, come to work ready to work or go quietly quit somewhere else. In other words, he fired the first shot across the bow like, well, we'll just take our high paying jobs and not do anything at Twitter. And he said, I'm going to make sure you're working late on party nights. And that kind of stuff. All right. I don't know what just happened there. Found this on YouTube. We got a video sent over to me by Groot, which is from Tom Vapor, who's not allowed to talk on the channel. He's got to go make a fake account to talk on the channel now. Because Tom Vapor's been using my name to, he's under this false impression that using my name is going to make him money because I get more views in Germany than he does. And he speaks German. So he's got a little bit of an issue. Oh, hold on. Before I get too far down into this, let's get people in here at the beginning today. All right, at everyone live, and I actually told everyone at the beginning of a live this time. All right, man. I usually wait like 4 hours before I get a hold of everybody, right? Because I am such a make sure I optimize everything to the maximalist. That's me. Share. Copy. Paste. Send now. All right. Man, I'm going to put a link down below it because I got a really long, I actually went back through it. It's a 2-hour long video that I did over in the Idle Tools channel. That, that account's going to bring your alliance over in the last migration. I don't believe 500s could talk to the 600s, man. I might be wrong. I only got a few hours to make decisions. Wait a minute. 592, yes. It was 1 through 300s, right? 300s through 600s. And then 600 up. So I don't know that I could have got to 609 last time. Ron, what's going on, man? Are you in TeamSpeak or you're hopping in TeamSpeak or something? Hold on, I can turn on TeamSpeak. I don't have my TeamSpeak on. And I know no one can hear anybody in TeamSpeak because I know I haven't updated the damn bookmarks. Where the hell? There we go. Rogers Raiders. Okie doke. And let's go down to Streamlabs. Headset capture. Let's go to properties. Properties. Headset capture. Headset earphone. Now we should be able to hear people that come into the TeamSpeak. You will check my text message. Did I text message you back? I didn't text message you back. I don't think you showed me a new video, did you? You just found one that Tom had made a while back. I've had a couple videos sent to me by Tom Vapor, you know, where he uses my name. It helps him in the algorithm a little bit, but it only helps him against other Germans. It doesn't help him penetrate the American market. He completely gets upset that I penetrate the German market the way I do. And there's just, I can't help it. It's not my fault. I do my job right. I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing it. I know when to ignore the numbers. I'm about to drink out of something I shouldn't be drinking out of. That's for damn sure. All right. Let me go get a cough drop because I can feel this in the back of my throat. And and something to drink. Oh, damn it. Just ran into the door. Yeah, fall over here, run in the door. Where's your little friend? Are you in here? Why are you in here by yourself, buddy? All right. So, get a soda, get a Monster, get some cough drops. What else we got? Ricola. I'll just bring the bag of Ricolas. It feels like one of them nights. I was out in the cold air a little earlier, and it was just enough cold air to get me on a hacking chain, but I'd already made them up my mind that I was going to do a live tonight because I hadn't done one in a while. No, you guys stay out tonight. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Out, out, out. No! Hey, Leroy, no. No. There we go. All right. My little Leroy dog. We went to the pound and got another dog. And he's man, I don't know what he is. He's a German Shepherd mixed with, it could be any kind of retriever or Cocker Spaniel or Lab or something. He's really soft, but he's too little to tell how big he's going to be. Good looking dog. And the only reason he got rescued is because he's smart as hell. We're looking around dogs. I was going to get one that was a little older. I was going to try and stick around under a year. I wasn't going to get a puppy. A damn sure wasn't going in there to start a fight about getting a puppy. $2 old? We'll look at it here in a minute. We'll give Tom a little free publicity. From a marketing perspective, he is complaining about my firewall. And what his complaint is, not that I'm talking about my firewall, not that I'm promoting buying my firewall. I don't do that. I know that if you make a good product, someone uses it, they have good results with it, they tell a friend. I don't have to spend a dime on it. I don't have to spend a minute promoting it. It works. It promotes itself. It still works. Tell you what I've been doing with the firewall. I've been over on the Age of Apes, taking the firewall math from Guns of Glory and applying it to Age of Apes. And I'm about to release some tools for Age of Apes here in a few months. So we did that. Hold on, I don't have any. I see the delayed text. So it's Friday night. It's cold as hell outside. I don't know why it's so cold in my office. My screens are on. My lights are on. I come in here this morning. You know, you could have cooked an egg in here on the computer. The 3090 was, well, I had the crypto running last night. That's why. Yeah, you heat this room up when you run the crypto on those machines. Okay, there's that. Okay, so I see you in the TeamSpeak, man. You got your microphone and all that stuff set up? And of course, I don't hear you. Hold on. I already know what that problem is. That's not you. Updated Windows. Every single device has got to act like it doesn't know what the hell I had on it before. Let's try that. And then capture. Wait a minute, isn't there? Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing.
Testing your playback sound system.
There we go. So I got the test audio working now. You go ahead and speak again. Let's see if that worked.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Now the question is, can they hear you now? Every piece of
Right.
software, Windows zeroes it out. You know, every piece of hardware in your computer has an mechanical identifying location. Every Windows update has zeroed out my stuff for almost a year now. And they've gotten to where they start to update every time there's politics talking on the TV. They update your stuff for your safety.
Ooh, it's cold outside.
I'm telling you, I could cut glass with these nipples, man.
Oh.
You're in Florida.
Now.
Well, you got the coast down there. I love Alabama. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. I love all that beach. Those are some of the best beaches in the world. I've been to 27 countries.
Body man, be quiet.
But they really are. They're gorgeous. You know, the Katrina blowing down the old historic houses was a bad thing, but man, it really, you would never hear somebody says, "Man, I want to take a beach vacation and I'm going to Mississippi." And that's what they should be saying, because it's gorgeous. I'm telling you, I've been to 27 countries. If I wanted to go diving, I would go to Truck again. You know, that's the only dive location in the world that I think would be worth the money and the effort to go diving in is around Truck. Truck was a big World War II battle. Truck Island. There are hundreds of ships sunk around there. Matter of fact, if
Destin, Florida.
Where is it?
You ever been to Destin, Florida?
I don't think I have.
That's the most beautiful beaches next to the Bahamas, buddy. Blows Mississippi out the water.
Is that actually is that a West? So it's a West Coast beach.
No, Gulf Coast, between Pensacola and Panama City.
I hate to tell you, that's the West Coast of Florida.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It is. I was thinking you were talking about Atlantic side.
I've been down that areas, but you know, here to be honest, at the times that I traveled down in those areas, I was below the age of 19 and drunk most of the time. The matter of fact,
Number one vacation spot between Orange Beach to Panama City.
I can believe it. That all the West, that's all that same beach. Well, those were all man-made beaches back in the 30s or 40s. That was a big project to make those beaches.
Mississippi has brown beaches.
No,
they don't
they're
have
white.
Clean white quartz.
No, they got white ones. Alabama too. Has it gotten dirty over the years? Is a question, I guess. Yeah, they're gorgeous. In my mind, from last time I was there, and when was that? Mississippi 6 years ago. Clean white beaches. 6 years ago. It's gorgeous stuff. All right, I got to make sure the stick to the issues crowd. I got to do some Guns and Glory stuff for a change.
Kill event going on right
now. And I got to log in and create a new account. Well, I was trying. No, don't do that. I was trying to log in and couldn't because of Twitter, which doesn't surprise me because Twitter has. I never did. I did the kill events early, and I never, you know, and usually I always feel bad about kill events because one, I got a brand name, so you kill somebody, they complain.
Right.
It's not a quiet complaint.
I like to reinforce. So I have a little 29, another one that just got to 40, but I like to use my little 29 reinforcing my 42. It's fun watching 42s hit and bounce off.
Now, I thought they patched some of that. Well, they did patch it in a way because your 29's guards are what your emergency cards are using. Oh my gosh. Hope I'm not blowing your ear out on the TeamSpeak.
I've purposely not upgraded my 29. He has all the 42 equipment and stuff.
Oh. Well, I mean, but whatever your guards are on that 29, That's what the march is for the reinforcement marches.
Right.
The
Air mist and belly.
and we're going to go account. We're going to go switch account. We're going to go to my Twitter account, which was supposed to launch Twitter. Okay, hold on.
Hello to Eon for me.
Do what?
Hello to Elon for me.
Yeah, well, I've been using the Twitter account for it. I've been using the Twitter account for it because Twitter was a throwaway social media for me. I was saying at the beginning, I love the fact that they at 5 o'clock today expired their ultimatum. Say you will agree that you will be worked like a slave, or you can go work somewhere else. I went, oh my God, a social media platform that's gonna have a work ethic. The I don't think Elon Musk is in the mood to pay a bunch of people to sit around and be little bitches all the time. The he's everybody thinks a billionaire owes him something, especially the leftists, and Elon's not playing that game.
Make all these tech companies look at their staffing.
You know, I make the argument over the years when people come after me and they go, "You didn't build a search engine before Google." I said, "Okay, you keep believing that people smoking dope and sleeping cubicles outperform me. I'm a workaholic. You keep believing that. That's how they got it. What they did was they stole for years and years and years. They still steal. And like the mapping technology we built way back in the day, which was nothing more than to find stores, but we couldn't afford a building full of servers back in the early 2000s. We had one server. And man, the way the map technology worked, if you had 3 guys in your website trying to look up the location of a gun store, it would crash your website. Just 3 people is all it took. And so we redesigned the mapping software, and it took a long time to do because I come up with an idea that says, well, what if we stop trying to use the servers to calculate the curvature of the earth, which is what crashed them. That's when you're talking about 2 geolocations, when you do the math between them, it's trigonometry, and servers don't do that well. I said, what if we did it like a high school math book, a teacher's edition book? We just put the answers to all the problems in the back of the book. And then I downloaded this database from this company, and then it had the latitude and longitude of the front door of every post office in America. And then I turned around and I built this piece of software that took every single front door of every single post office and calculated the distance between each of those. And there's 27,513 towns. So you had 27,513 times, and then you go down to 27,512. When I clicked enter to calculate all those distances, the first time I clicked enter, it was going to take a year and a half to finish the math problem for my computer. And I went out and bought a new computer. I bought a new dual AMD with 4 gigs of RAM. I went out and bought the prototype version of Windows 64-bit so that we could use 4 gigs of RAM, because you had the 64-bit to use 4 gigs of RAM.
Windows
XP64, yep. And just switching to that software and clicking enter, it went from a year and a half to finish the math to 4 months. So I had to go out and get a cooling tower. I overclocked the processor and put it on a battery backup so it wouldn't get interrupted doing the math. Clicked enter, and 4 months later, we had the answers to all those problems. And we put that into a database, and instead of it taking 18 to 20 minutes for a server to do one math problem, it could do 1,000 in a second. Now, they weren't accurate, and anybody that uses Google Maps knows Google Maps isn't accurate. It's always off by a couple, 300, 400, 500 feet. It's a best guess estimate. We were just trying to get you on the same street as a gun store back then. That was our goal. I think we had about a 300-foot error rate. And then we then applied all that database and technology to what you see now on every single website, which is we know the geolocation of your IP address, of where your ISP is when you're looking at a website. And then we would tell you, we would try and give you, we would look up a gun store in your area when you're reading one of the articles on my news magazine, on my gun mag, And we would, over on the side, I'd give you a list of all the gun stores in the area while I was talking about a gun and give you their phone numbers. And I did that for free. I didn't charge any of the gun dealers that. It made a better reader experience to the magazine. No one called me to ask how they got a gun, because at that time I could tell you what was going to be on the cover of the NRA magazine 3 days before I got mine, simply because the East Coast got theirs first and people started searching for them. And then whatever was on the cover, there was only going to be 500 of them. You were never going to get them. So it was just an ongoing denial of service attack for a guy in my industry, where you had, a few million people who wanted something that they weren't going to get. Hold on. I was going to shut off. I got to shut off this view while I put in my passwords. There's that. And ding. That doesn't do me no good. Turn off something else. I still see it on the screen. Oh, I hear that beagle screaming at that puppy.
Dogs you get?
I don't know what he is. He's definitely got some German Shepherd in him, and I can't tell if he's got some. He's too little to know right now. It's Spaniel, maybe Lab, maybe some type of Retriever in him. It's some type of bird dog. I don't know exactly the size of him that's going to be mixed in him yet. But the reason I got him is he was one of the smartest puppies I've ever seen. That's the reason he got adopted. Was he was I was going up front to rescue this other dog, and the guy goes, "Well, we got puppies in here if you want to look at them real quick." He says, "Oh, I'll look at the puppies, because who doesn't like looking at puppies?" And there was this one just sitting there, and he's looking at me, wagging his tail like all the dogs have been doing. I said, "Can you sit?" He sat down. I said, "Oh, you're working the room. Can you shake?" Lifted his paw up, put it on the thing. I said, "Oh my gosh." And he can't be more than 7, 8 weeks old. Uh, the Is that my password? Oh, must be my password, because now Twitter 186. Looks like you entered the wrong code. Well, did I? Or did you send me the wrong code? Oh my gosh. So you found that deal on the firewall from Vapor. That's funny. He I It was sometime about when he made that video that I had to wind up finally just saying, you know what, you're banned off my YouTube, because he drops in on the lives.
11.
Well, not only that, he didn't build a proper firewall. Had he built a proper firewall, it would have won at least one or two marches. But yeah, he's
He ain't killing 10 million of my troops that way, I'll tell you that.
well, I mean, I killed T13s with my T12s, but the T12s weren't the bulk of the. You can't do it without the top tier. I can tell you that, because the counterattack comes from the top above, and the damage absorption comes from the bottom up. For all those who don't know why I just dismissed Tom Vapor, is he doesn't understand that there's two math problems taking place at the same time during an attack. There's an attack, there's a counterattack. And your high-end troops do the counterattacking, while your bottom-end troops absorb the damage coming in. And then there's a counterattack to the counterattack. Twitter 186. All right. Whoa there. There's been a request token for this page is invalid. It may have already been used or expired. You just told me. Go to Twitter. That I put it in wrong last time. Now you're telling me I put it in just right. You little morons. You don't. I see Twitter's working just as good as it always has. Okay. So Twitter account. If I click on that, authorize app. Account not found. Well, there you go. I probably deleted it. Okay, so new game. Start a new game. And what is our latest, greatest kingdom? 827 is what it looks like. Start there. Confirm. Volcanic
The Bastille,
eclipse.
the most feared prison in Europe.
Oh my gosh.
Home to murderers, traitors, and me. The light of newfound freedom burns my eyes.
Skip. Skip. I see we haven't fixed the startup problem. Where you're caught up in the startup delay. Oh, they can't see it. They just heard it. All right, we got to restart the game anyway. Oh, let me see what I got here for text. Luke, I appreciate it. Deanna, how are you doing? Deanna, you should come on TeamSpeak. You've been on my TeamSpeak before. You've got it on a computer somewhere. I think we went over something. We were fixing something for you. I actually did a live at a normal hour to catch Americans instead of trying to find out what happened to my Aussie crowd. I know what happened. Google's down $450 million. I've got to freaking... Got to kill this sound. See, this is the problem with their bullshit is you can't even get in there to kill their sound when you get the startup going. So, see, and I can't kill the sound that way. When Guns of Glory does their little ads during your other games, they've always got the loudest ad that just tells everybody on the planet you're playing some type of game on your phone when you're just trying to kill time in a waiting room somewhere. And it ain't even Guns of Glory you're playing. It's something else, and it's Guns of Glory just taking control of the sound system for a few seconds while they scream at everybody. Say, look at me, look at me. All right. Recruit. Did I lose you, man?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Can't watch your YouTube stream and talk to you on here at the same time. The audio goes to shit.
Right? No, don't do that. Why me? We think you'll pay us the most money. Yeah. You should see over in the Age of Apes. I'm blasting people out, I know I am. I'll turn that down a little bit. I hear sniffing dog. I really don't have a problem with the dogs being in the studio, except for the puppy is going to get bored and he's going to find a cable. And I don't know if I got any backups to replace cables with right now. I just had to rip my entire computer apart, and I replaced a whole bunch of cables that had been completely melted and heated over time.
Saying someone enters our channel, but I don't.
Might be Deanna. No,
Kingdom raid going on. Kingdom also.
I don't know. Well, I got done playing that. Well, I'm sure it is. It's game wide now, right? There's no off weekends anymore. You got to be an old fart to know to think about them in off weekends where one kingdom KVK'd and other people KE'd. Yeah.
Well, how old was that Uncharted Seas video you did?
Oh hell, that's over a year and a half. That's almost 2 years old. It's probably 2 years old this month. Yeah, I did a full 10, 15 hours of Uncharted Seas, and I let Paper Matthew and Tom Vapor run their mouth for almost 10 hours in there. They got to where they were leader of another alliance. They were doing everything they could to just try and prove they knew more, and it was all about coining and everything else. And then the last day, I got smacked by somebody, and it was a Chinese woman that didn't speak English on the first day in that beta. And then I did, because I went in there under the false press that everybody was there to learn the event and let's work together and let's learn this thing so we can bring it back and teach our alliances. And I didn't know it was going to be the international let's get even for whatever Gunmuse has done in my mind.
On my YouTube, it says your Guns of Glory Uncharted Seas. Your stats make you a man. Was that 3 days ago you put that out?
Your stats make you a man?
Your channel here says, but on mine it says you released it 3 days ago.
No, that's YouTube unthrottling me. You got to understand, a lot of the technology that I've designed over the years that I'm applying to the games was built around defense in a political world. So any election year, Gunmuse is completely throttled down by every social platform that they can possibly do. And kids are lazy when they say, "Hey, go in there and throttle them out." They don't go out and throttle me politically; they just throttle me. Period. They're not supposed to do it. I actually have a lawsuit that we settled that they're not allowed to do that to this channel. But if it just turned around and said I released that video a couple of days ago, then they did do it. And it's being undone right now while the Congress is switching over. All these social platforms are trying to undo everything they've been doing. And all these people who think that stuff doesn't happen or it's tinfoil hat thinking, it's not tinfoil hat thinking. It's one side has the power and they're lazy. It's not a far-fetched reach to think they're going to do what they want and get what they want without any effort. It's human nature. It's got nothing to do with conspiracies or anything else. It's just they have no respect for authority. They have no respect for privacy. What was it? A good thing to look up is Ron Paul just went after the FBI. And he turned around and he said, "Is there any situation where a third-party company contacted you and said, 'Come look at what this guy said'?" And then the FBI started backpedaling because we wrote a law against that in 1986. People should have privacy in all their digital communications just as much as their mailbox. And they wrote the law in 1986. And Paul Rand quoted it to the FBI, and the FBI guy was just freaking panicking. It's like, you know what's about to come happening next when there's a bunch of Republicans on this committee, right? We're going to use this law, and we're going to find every place you read an email, and we're going to file a charge against you. Every single one of them. It is and it was really one of the laws they were going to use against Hillary Clinton, But it seemed like such an innocuous law. But now you can turn around and you can watch what's happening in the election cycle, in the places where they're not done counting yet. It's run by Democrats, and they're going to keep counting until they find enough votes. It's what they do every election cycle, right? Yeah, this is not new. You got Florida that updated its election laws. In Florida, you file your ballot, you can go to your phone and start tracking where your ballot is in real time as it travels from place to place in the post office. So if it gets derailed or moved somewhere out of the inside from inside the post office, I don't know, taken to a gully somewhere and dumped, you're going to know it because it hadn't moved any further, it hadn't been registered at the next location yet. And that's one of the things that they did in Florida because they found 300,000 Trump ballots in 2020 laying in a river stream outside the post office. They just sorted them and took them out back and threw them away. Yeah. And then you got to go, well, and he lost that election by 40,000 votes, and there were 200,000 in a stream. That because there was no chain of custody, you couldn't turn around and re-enter them as a valid vote. And the thing that no one knows about is Trump sued. They tried to ask Vice President Pence to hold off on certifying the election until that lawsuit particularly was settled. And Pence goes, no, I followed the law. I mean, obvious evidence of foul play. There was no doubt that there's foul play. But you had the news going out there and saying things like, 40 judges have seen this and found nothing wrong here. 40 judges may have looked at it, but not a single judge brought it into his courtroom to hear evidence on it. They just looked at it, went to a camera and said, nothing to see here. And then that was the story, that a judge looked at it. But that's not how the law works. Evidence has to be presented. The judge didn't hear any evidence. He just declared in the eyes of public media, what he wanted to have happen. Which is the thing that's going on in crypto. So I've been busy on the crypto thing this week because of the FTX. There's a whole bunch of guys who don't want to talk to me on crypto side right now. Because for the last 4 months, I've been telling them that all this shit that I've been looking at has been politics in the crypto side. Like, it's not, you're just making that up. It's not, got nothing to do with politics. Oh, really? Well, apparently $200 million wound up in the Clinton campaign this year. It was Bill Clinton and Barack Obama sitting down with the quote unquote billionaire from FTX. And all of a sudden, $200 million found it in his mom's charity. That's the $200 million we know about. That's the one charity we know about. The money they laundered through the Ukraine, they can't even figure out how much money that is yet. And wait till they wind up with the problem that Friedman's mother, where she solicited all that money to launder through that thing, and she did it on behalf of her son, was from Hollywood. Those people are going to be pissed if they don't mind telling people, yeah, I was doing business. They went after Tom Brady. I mean, every single news story says when Tom Brady's promoting it, it must have been good. I was fooled by Tom Brady. I didn't know Tom Brady was a financial advisor. Oh, wait a minute. Who did Tom Brady endorse for the presidential election? Donald Trump. You see how they're setting up the future news story? Oh, this massive scandal involving another promoter of Donald Trump. I'm like, they can't, even when they get caught stealing a few $1 billion, it's all Trump's fault. Trump made him steal it. Because Tom Brady told him it was okay to steal it.
The video with Biden's granddaughter?
What, him sniffing her?
No, she says that he has a twin that passed away 4 years ago.
Did she really?
Yeah.
Who knows? That family's so full of lies, they don't know. She might be broken.
The family didn't want to lose power, so they had his brother step in. They have before and after pictures from before he was elected and what he looks like now from after 4 years ago. Pictures don't look the same.
Well,
I'll see if I can find it.
I don't even know if I believe that shit. That would have came out a long time ago. I know
Unless they
Biden's
bury it.
the brother that I know about. I mean, I don't know why they would have buried it, because the brother you know about, he made a crap load of money building houses in Iraq. The government would bomb a town in the 90s, and then Biden's brother would go in there and rebuild it on the government nickel. Oh, that was actually in the 2000s. Man, I'm just trying to get out of the starter thing. Yeah, I got to pay attention to what's going on in the chat too. Kingdom Raid.
Castle, aren't you?
Well, I'm working on it. I got to get through the starter system every single time, right? I used to do this on Wednesday because I knew I was going to do a live, so that I didn't have to bore the audience with it. But the trolls would preemptively set up early as well. So now I just do it last minute. If you're going to get in there and start trolling, you're going to have to do it get some castle size on me. The sniffling video and the twinkle one. What's sniffling video? What are you talking about? And I don't even know either one of those videos you're talking about, Deanna. No clue what you're saying to me. She's got to come on. Deanna, you got to come into the TeamSpeak. Then you can talk in real time. Yeah, no one can see your face. The Discord's definitely growing, and it's growing fast without promotion. Hell, there's 20 people online right now and 255 offline. The ratio stays the same. The number of live people versus the number of people who aren't got Discord open. And I kind of get that, and that's because of how everybody else treats Discord. I almost want to uninstall Discord off my phone because I got one or two things over there that are constantly popping up messages on my phone 3, 4, 5 times a day. Because everybody thinks that they got the secret sauce to how to get a video to the top of YouTube. And I can promise you Discord ain't it. We just use the Discord to inform people who want to know what we are doing on YouTube. Nothing more. How come I'm not hearing any audio anymore? I didn't get anything muted.
I'm here.
No, but the game was blasting me out. Now it's not. I didn't turn anything off.
Anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We all just said it. What were we talking about? The sniffling video and the sniffing video. I see sniffling. Little bit of a blur in my eyes there, Deanna. I'm sorry. So I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was the words coming out of my own damn mouth. How sad is that? And the twinsy video. It must be what she was saying. Video and the twinsy. Okay. I saw sniffling and twinkle. So my brain didn't wrap around it. Okay. Yeah. A little bit of an eye. A little bit of an old man can't get his shit straight together anymore. Yeah. Man, not a one of those YouTubers with 300,000 subscribers who shit talked me live in their feeds when I told them all the KYCs that came out like FTX, where the KYC is know your customer. I said that was a power grab and it was political. And the whole goal was they were in bed with the government. They were in bed with the Bidens in order to shut down the world exchange that had reputation, which is Binance. Because there's nothing legal about what the SEC secretary was doing. And I repeated it on lives over and over again for months. And not one of them reached out and says, man, can you show me how you knew what was going on? They don't want to know. Collective million subscribers, and they don't want to know how to be right with their audience. And I don't understand that. I would want, if I was that wrong, I'd want to know how can I be right tomorrow? They don't want to know. And the answer simply is the little 20-year-olds who are doing those videos, you can't go listen to Rush Limbaugh anymore. Rush Limbaugh taught people how to spot that shit without even trying. But the media did everything they could to crap on Rush Limbaugh. But what Rush Limbaugh can is just take it from the proper perspective. If the left is talking, they're up to something. You know, the things that Rush Limbaugh broke, Rush Limbaugh's claim to fame, who got the Republicans elected to Congress. Rush Limbaugh got the Republicans because he busted the Democratic Congress. The Democrats controlled the Congress. They had for 44 straight years. And Rush Limbaugh busted the post office scandal. Did you ever hear of the post office scandal?
No, I didn't.
So a congressman would go write a personal check for $30,000 to buy a stamp at the congressional post office window in Congress. And they would hand him back $29,909, all but the 20-cent stamp at the time, in cash. The check would bounce. But Congress never went and got the money back from the congressman who bought. The post office wouldn't go back and get the money. So they were just writing hot checks to the post office all the time. Or they would walk their campaign contributors around Congress. They stop by the post office and count and cash a freaking a donation check right there in the post office. The guy would just stick the $5,000, and the post office would hand it back to the congressman. So they were using the post office to laundry all this money through the Democratic Party. And every single scam that's come up since the post office scam got busted, you had the Clinton Foundation, you had the Obama, the Deepwater Horizon event. Obama went out and created a charity and forced that company to pay $20 billion to that charity. And it sounded like the U.S. government got a $20 billion check, only they didn't. Obama got a $20 billion check. You know, and he would. Who did?
I did.
How's that?
I know people that got money that were in jail and didn't have jobs and didn't even.
Oh, well, there was the oil spill thing was a scam from start to finish. Kevin Costner wasn't allowed to put his boats in the water because he had invented these boats, and he had 4 of them that instead of dumping human hair or oil dry or anything else in the ocean, it was just as bad as the oil in the ocean, or even worse in some ways. He had these things that went along, and since oil floats to the top, it skimmed the water and the oil right off the top of the ocean, spun it around a centrifuge, dumped clean water back over the side, and kept the oil on the boat. Then they'd empty the oil. And
sitting in the bottom of the Gulf right now.
It doesn't sit in the bottom. It doesn't work that way.
What happened to algae? It attached itself to it and it sunk. Fishermen.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Oil still.
But when the algae eats oil, it eats it. It's a natural food for oil. It didn't just sink. It's now in the natural
this thing in
process, and
Florida.
it's just being focused on in a natural process. Now everybody's focusing on it. That's how you make oil. When you have fresh water, CO2, and algae, it creates oil over a 20-year process. They're now microscopically looking at what's taking place there, that takes place naturally, and saying, "Oh my God, this is not normal." It's always been normal. Shell Oil Corporation, and this is where fracking came from. Streamline. What the hell's? Why isn't my deck's up?
Here's someone coming in and out of our room,
No, I sure don't.
hearing disconnected and connected and then dis.
I'm not hearing it. I'm looking at the stream right now. For some reason, the Dex is not. Samsung Dex.
Guard the level 80.
There we go. What I was doing on the screen wasn't showing up on the screen. Now so they drilled all those. The oil boom started in Oklahoma, and then that's where the fracking scam started as well, right? Well, they pretty much drained most of the oil out by the 1920s, 1930s because it was a shallow oil reserve there at less than 3,000 feet. And the Shell Oil Corporation figured out back in the 1930s that if you put fresh water back down the hole and cap it, and then wait 20 years, open the hole back up, it's full of oil again. Because there's an enzyme that eats the rock and it uses the fresh water and CO2 gas, and it shits oil. That's where the oil comes from. And then so fracking started where they would hydrostatically pressurize the well and create more cracks in the rocks so that there was more surface area for these enzymes to eat rock. It's like having a sponge versus having a rock in water. You get more bacteria in the sponge. And they've known this since the 30s, but we still call it fossil fuels today, and it shouldn't be called fossil fuels. Got nothing to do with dinosaurs. And then, like, if you dump oil on grass outside your house, it'll kill it. A lot of people do that to kill weeds, right? They'll take the oil out of their engine, they'll go dump it on some weeds in the alley. But come back a year later.
Water works.
What does? Boiling water?
Boiling water works too.
Well, if you come back a year later, that place you dumped the oil didn't go away. And all of a sudden there's plants growing up through that oil spot. And that's because the only reason they killed the plants is because it was so concentrated. It's like putting too much fertilizer into a potted plant in your house. You burn it, it dies. And when I got my rose bushes out front, I have a little mixture of oil and file savings and metal file shavings that I usually go pick up from where they do disc brakes. I'll get some file shavings and put that in the beady eyes. I can't see who that is. Something dark. Life After Dark. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't fit the agenda. No one's teaching what oil is, what it isn't. It's base carbon chains. It can be broken down. They don't teach what a refinery is. A refinery will break oil down in any crude oil down into the base carbon chain, and then just pretty much like Star Trek, tell me what you want to come out the other end, and they can rebuild it. They'll build it from the molecules up into being whatever material you want it to be. That's why they take Pennzoil runs commercials on it, but nobody thinks about the process. Oh, we take this all clean natural gas and we turn it into motor oil. I think it's shitty motor oil, but I think it's shitty motor oil because it doesn't have some of the dirty things that the old ways of making motor oil have it, like moly. Moly attaches itself around iron in the earth, And moly is slicker than oil. And moly seeks out heat and it rebuilds bearings and things like that. And it's illegal to put moly in oil nowadays. Yeah. The only time you can find moly in oil is if it's called pump oil for like water pumps because they run 24/7. And then it's got a little moly in there to make sure the bearings don't wear out. Got our pirates, got our vampires. Yeah, what are we doing here? Woo! Purple from 609. Volcanic eclipse. How you doing? Isn't that the second person from 609 talking to me today? Wait a minute. What's up with my chat? That's like from an hour ago. There is more chats on my screen than there are in my chat box. Oh, that's right. Top chat. My gosh, I'm sorry, guys. I hate that. Doctors. Man, you know, at least it puts it up on the screen. There it is. I was reading it off the screen. That's why I was squinting, because the web page that I'm supposed to be reading the chat from. What? My beady little eyes? I repeated it, didn't I? Oh. What do you think on Biden trying to cancel student debt? I think anybody who I think anybody who believed that fucking bullshit lie will believe any bullshit lie. He doesn't have the. He's a president of the United States. He has no authority to print money out of thin fucking air all by himself. That would make him a dictator. Biden has to put a gun to the back of my head and take my money in order to give it to you. You're calling it cancel student debts as if it's something you and only you are involved in. But at the end of the day, it's my money. You're talking about taking my money by force. We make damn sure no politician has the ability to do that, especially the President of the United States. So what do I think about it? I think that we have shot people in the past for doing that kind of thing. That's how wars start. That's how civil wars start. I think the younger generation had better learn one simple fact. The average age of a constitution on planet Earth is 17 years because every fucking 20-year-old generation thinks they got this brand new idea called socialism, and it winds up in blood. It just doesn't work well when you have to put a gun to people's heads and say, give me all your money. I deserve it more than you. And since my neighbors agree with me, it's all okay. Yeah, it's a, you can't steal people's money. It's stealing. Even I'm sorry that you don't have it. Yeah, but here's the thing. If I gave you all my money I had now, then I wouldn't have it. Right? Why am I requiring, I can't go live with my mother. You break down the voting statistics that took place during this last election, that student debt, that complete and utter lie that they were telling about Roe v. Wade. Here's the Roe v. Wade story, guys. There's another Supreme Court decision called Buck versus Bell. When Roe v. Wade was pushed through by a bunch of old white men who were all leftist Democrats, it was not to secure your womanly rights. Those are the people who don't believe in anybody's rights. Roe v. Wade did not secure an individual's right to abortion. It secured the right to abortion. And that right that they were trying to secure was the government's right for a judge to dictate an abortion, or for a government policy to say, you know what, these people shouldn't have children. And the Supreme Court case that reinforces the government's ability to tell you you're not allowed to have children if I deem you to be a burden upon society. In other words, every single person who collects $10,000 worth of student loan debt underneath the government's policy at that point should be sterilized if we deemed it to be so. You want to get right down into it. You've become a burden upon society by accepting money that you couldn't pay back. So you need to be castrated and or killed. And or killed being the words that are in the law. It was such an effective program. We killed like 50,000 mentally ill. Buck versus Bell was a woman who got castrated for being mentally ill. For whatever reason they castrated. I don't even know. You can't even find the real story about why they decided they needed to do it. Only that she sued after she became the valedictorian of her school for having been castrated for being deemed mentally incompetent. You know, so she never was allowed to have children ever again. And that was the original case. And then the Democratic Party got out of control with it in the 50s and 60s under Connie, what's her name? She started the clinics, and they put them on federal land like AOC wants to do, only they put them on the Indian reservations. So any Indian that walked in there and got an abortion also got sterilized without permission. And Roe v. Wade solidified whether or not the government had the right to sterilize people without permission. And this goes all the way up to, I think the last time I saw a news story on this was somewhere probably 97, 98. It might have been before Fox News existed, because it was something they would actually put on ABC, CBS, NBC when there were only 3 news stations. Well, a judge today in Philadelphia said that this woman who had five welfare babies, because they were trying to justify the work requirement of the Clinton, you had to have a job in order to get welfare in the 90s. And to justify, and so the judges were turning around and saying, you've got 5 kids, you're collecting some $2,000 a month in welfare payments for these kids that aren't even living at your house. We're going to have your tubes tied. And that used to be on the nightly news. And it's not anymore. Because it's not part of the narrative that them old rich white Republicans are just trying to keep you barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. Just not true. And I will slam the Republicans for not getting a little more violent about saying you need to knock the crap off. This is what you really want. You want the right to kill people. You got to remember that the other portion of the left thinks there's too many people on the planet. Human beings are a pollutant. And as long as you think a human being is a pollutant, well, then you need to stop having more human beings. What Biden just said it yesterday, wasn't it? Well, we've got to do something to help these immigrants in the country. Americans just aren't having babies anymore. Well, Bubba, put down the iPhone and turn on some mood music. We can solve that problem. We don't need to import a couple million people from South America. There's a different way of dealing with that not enough people problem. Lonnie, how you doing? At some point, you got to listen to everything they say and then believe that they believe what they're saying. You don't have to believe that it's a good idea, but you better believe that they believe it's a good idea. Too many useless eaters on the planet is not even a new thing. It's been around for 121 years now. It's been around longer than that, but in American society, American politics, it's been around for 121 years. All the way back to the Woodrow Wilson days. That's who came up with those programs. And it wasn't Woodrow Wilson that came up with it. It was his wife. The first Karen. Everybody needs to rewrite history. The first Karen in history. I put into the Discord 837. Is that what it was? I think so. Kingdom 837. It's not like I'll stay here. Yeah. When we do another live, we'll just start again. This just cuts down on the trolling. Yeah. Gives me the pretense to hold a conversation. Yeah. Latest and greatest, whatever it was. There'll be a new one spawn tomorrow. They won't let go of that model of spawning new kingdoms. Yeah. It's just a terrible model. Over in the Age of Apes Discord server, they're having a lively discussion over there. It's all the same things that we used to argue about in our kingdom chat in 592. And I'm not even the one stirring the pot. There's just enough people over there, and they promoted their Discord server right off the bat. And there's enough people going, why is this happening? Why is it? And because they emulated Guns of Glory, but the marketing team lost control early. It's very apparent to everyone really quickly that some people are. It again comes down to this same thing when we talk about politics on the channel. Do you really think somebody's spending $30,000 a month to play this phone game? I believe there's a couple people who will, but not thousands.
There's people that will.
There's people that will. There will always be people that will. More money than they know what to do with. They don't pay the bill. My daddy's accountant gets the bill. I don't get the bill.
We have a $500,000 account in our kingdom.
Well, like I said before, originally the one guy that had every brand new part when the game came out for a year and a half, when you figured it up, he spent $1.5 million over the course of a year and a half, 2 years. And all you had to do is wait 3 months, and you could build the same account for $15,000. Yeah. Well, that's the nature of the design of the game there, Lonnie, about them being dead. One, they let the guys who run Guns of Glory as a business, the trolls, go in there and they spawn up these robotic castles so that they're selling RSS in every kingdom. Because you'll get these things in your mail that says, oh, contact me on freaking such and such social platform and I'll get you some RSS. That has become a business model inside there. So those guys have got to be in every single kingdom right off the bat. And they make more money when there's conflict. So creating a problem, preventing kingdom unity is good for them. Really, they just don't take the long approach and say, okay, what 50 kingdoms am I in? And how do I get kingdom, 100 to fight kingdom 200 on a regular basis? They're in the same star thing. It's like, how do we encourage them to show up on Saturday and fight kingdom 100, kingdom 200? And then when they do that in KVK as a cooperative, more money is spent. They literally do not know how to operate their own business model. They're communists. They think I built it. Give me my money. Where's my money at? Why has my money not been spent yet? They feel entitled to the money. You got to remember one thing about communist China. They've been communists for 50 years, but they were capitalists for 2,000 years prior to that. So don't think for a second that communism is the big victor here. It's just the brutal force that they've grown up, that this generation has grown up underneath, still wants as much as they can get their hands on in a capitalist fashion, because that's the way Grandpa did it. It's just now there's a move. I mean, the discussion that we're having nowadays on the world stage is United States doesn't have enough submarines to deal with China taking over Taiwan. I can tell you for a fact, I already know that when we spitballed the war game with China over Taiwan, we didn't even come close to winning. Not even, no one could figure out a way to win. China could screw up every other decision, and they had so much hardware over us, it wouldn't matter. Every single sub-captain would have had to been the Hunt for Red October freaking superhero, killing 5, 6 subs and knocking torpedoes. Then it's just not going to happen. Then China has turned around and taken drone technology to a whole new level, to where they have swarm technology with drones, and we can't shoot that crap out of the air. We have no defense against that kind of thinking. They can launch 1,000 drones that can dodge missiles, and they're so small of target they can't be radar shot, and they can kamikaze just about anything. It's the generation playing video games right now has no clue that they're either going to be slaves, or you better learn to start talking the way I talk. Yeah.
Hey, I'll be back.
It's going to be a very bloody next couple decades.
Hey, I'll be right back.
All right, man. Take it easy. Let's see. Bookmarks, no. Man, it's like my freaking how-to guide just stopped. Okay, so settings. Account management. Blind. And see, like when we're binding this to my Twitter account, basically I'm giving Guns of Glory permission to read my Twitter. Not my public feed, read my Twitter. Yeah. It's easier to gain stats, Steve, on the road, not power. I promise you, no matter what, the power is still in the damage numbers, and you've got to do the work to get those. That is something that takes time. You can't buy them. You got to put the work in. You got to win the events. There is no future for them to grow up in. You tell me what's on the horizon that they're going to be victorious on. You cannot have a bunch of Republicans running around going, we're in charge now, everything's beginning to be okay. No. And at the same time, you can't have a bunch of media going, and if you say something gloomy, we're going to make sure no one likes you. Because there's nothing good coming out of where we're at. The people who don't like us were allowed to continue to slowly build power, to take us to the negotiating table every time that we wanted to stop them from growing in power. Iran. Hey, we're building nukes. Can we talk about it for 10 years? Didn't take Albert Einstein a freaking 10 years to do it the first time. So quit telling me how great they are at math. They got a book, they got somebody to copy off of, and they can't figure it out. There's some realities to this. You got somebody to copy off of, and you can't figure it out. It's not like Albert Einstein's like, I don't know if this will work or not. He wasn't copying off the neighbor kid's paper. Oppenheimer. That's why you get so many people who get into the alien conspiracy theories, is because they don't believe man is smart enough to come up with its own ideas. They have to copy off somebody else. There were sudden grandiose leaps in technology. All right, so I need to do what here? Go into my estate. That's what I was looking for. It's inside. Hmm. But the no, we're look. I'm at a different stage in my life than most of the audience that follows me. If you're under 40 and you aren't figuring out how you're going to prepare, look, the digital oh, hold on, let me get past all this noise. All right. So digital currency's coming. United States is switching to a digital currency. And I don't know if anybody realizes the power that the government now has. They don't follow warrants. They don't follow rules. They do whatever the hell they want to whoever the hell they want. And you're watching it in real time. And then you're not putting two to two together with the power they're trying to grab. And that is, oh my gosh. Damn Chinese interrupted me. That and that power that's coming is, if they don't like what you say, they just call you a terrorist and turn off your money. When it's digital, it doesn't matter. You won't have this stack of cash you can go spend. All your checks coming from your job will go into an account that they can just turn off and say, yeah, the bank may say you have money, but we just told the bank that money doesn't exist. It's not yours. That's the power they're trying to deem. And that's not crypto. That's not what crypto is. Crypto would verify that it is your money, and it's only your money, and only you have the right to spend it. That's what crypto is. And they're blending these words together with this FTX. This FTX was a designed to fail scam to make everybody so fearful of the word crypto that you want the government to, oh, it's got to be regulated. It absolutely has to be. It is regulated. Crypto's self-regulated. You and 60 other guys verify the same piece of information. That's what regulation is, verification. Digital currency is not verified. Digital currency is owned by whoever creates the digital currency. That's going to be the government. They're not the same thing. The FTT token that evaporated into thin air was just that, a token, a currency. They made it up. They decided it was worth X amount of dollars, and then they borrowed real money against it. And then they ran off with the real money. I'd never seen a picture of that guy's girlfriend until this week, Freed's girlfriend. If you hadn't seen a picture of Freed's girlfriend, as soon as you see a picture of her and you go, yeah, no way was he a billionaire. that you couldn't have found a homelier girl to hang around. Yeah, it must have been true love. Yeah. Like, but he drives a Toyota Tercel. Or the billionaire bought one for the photo shoot that day. Keeps it around. You know, there was nothing about it that made sense. Human beings don't act the way he did. And then he went on a rant to tell everybody how stupid they were for believing his bullshit. Some reason that didn't make the highlight of the newsreels, in NBC, CBS, who were talking him up, saying what a great guy he was. Yeah. I see a lot of YouTubers taking advantage. Yeah, I got to get some gold first. I got to join an alliance, right? Join. Tell you what, blow that up. I don't know why I couldn't get out of that window. So you got the same stuff going over here. That looks like a robot alliance. That looks like a robot alliance. 147 does not. Tell you what, we'll go apply to them. Only 7 members is one of the reasons I'm thinking I'm quite off early. Oh, look at that misspelling high. You're live. Send. We'll go in there and see if we recognize anybody speaking. Then we got the robotic applet. Oh. Oh, that's me putting that in. All right, we'll see what happens. All right. Weren't all these Russians in here recruited to be sent to the Ukraine? All right. Didn't I see pictures of them grabbing them 20-year-olds off the street, throwing them in the back of a truck, and shipping them to the Ukraine? See, there's the other thing on the news that's a lie that's coming out. Oh my gosh, we are kicking Russia's ass so good. They have now left this area. They've left that. It's fucking winter. Russia is well aware of what happens when you overextend yourself in wintertime. They're not going to do it. Do you think Biden's going to do something about it next spring? Think Biden's going to turn around and start shipping plane after plane after plane of weapons in there, and by the time the Russians come back in the next spring, they're going to be completely fortified? That's not going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, I did put that in the freaking chat too. Oh, I'm freezing. My hands are cold. I hear my beagle in there yelling at the new dog. The new dog's name is Jake. It's not my first Jake. This is my second dog named Jake. But my first Jake was barely 10 months old when somebody shot him. He was a monstrous German Shepherd, but he was also the smartest dog I'd had up to this point. Said this puppy I got, he is so smart. He just made me think of that dog Jake, and it's been 20 years since I had that other Jake. So I gave him the Jake name. We're not going to let him run around. Get the tinfoil hats out for what? Oh, no, that's just a fact of war. You don't go to war with Russia in the winter. Russia doesn't go to war in the winter. You stop. To say you're kicking Russia's ass in the winter when all they did was they went home, that's bullshit. And then, like I said, Biden is not talking about importing weapons. Yeah. Oh, let's see what the Russians have got to say to this. How do you know we weren't Ukrainians? Go to band, friend. Yeah. How do you know we weren't Ukrainians? Yeah, because you're speaking Russian. They speak Ukrainian. They speak Russian in Ukraine. Yeah. How do you know we weren't Ukrainians? How many people, raise your hand, think the Ukrainian social networking and internet infrastructure, or maybe even the power grid, is intact right now because Russia just blew all that shit up, left the country, and is hoping that the Ukrainians are frozen to death when they come back next spring. Anybody starting to see Russia's plan yet? Oh, we're going to stop throwing bombs. Tell CNN we're done selling bombs. They blew up the infrastructure and they hauled ass for the winter. There's no way they're going to be able to rebuild it in winter. We can't get supplies into Ukraine. We're not even trying. Yeah, it would have been a lot easier to blow the Russians up than it would be to rebuild their infrastructure right now. And no one's talking about rebuilding their infrastructure right now. And you would never be able to do it during the winter months. You can't move people around during the winter months, let alone people and materials. These are not new facts. If you've gone to history and you gotten past the 8th grade, they told you about how the Germans and the Russians. There's a movie. What's that movie called? Enemy at the Gates. I guarantee you can watch it for free on something. Go watch Enemy at the Gates. How much the Russians and the Germans hate each other. The Russians hate Nazis, and the Ukrainians that they're fighting in that bottom corner of land that they declared as theirs were the Nazis. For those who think the Nazis were defeated in World War II, that's not true. Hitler was defeated. The Nazi Party was not. Yeah. They're big section of the Ukraine that's just Nazis. And to be fair, apparently they got more coordination and fight capability than the Russians have got. But winter's going to be the equalizer here. Yeah, but you don't know if that's true, Redleg. We'd kill all the Russians in our kingdom just because they wouldn't shut the fuck up. Yeah. Russians are pretty arrogant. Yeah, but you don't know. That could have been somebody pretending. I got a whole troll network that you found a new friend on. Yeah. Yeah, so playing GOG is a priority, not food and heat. You know. Look, gaming itself is down 65% this year worldwide. Yeah. Boy, I can hear them two dogs just going at each other in there. They're having a ball. My old beagle, you think he's I told him he was allowed to be the big dog in charge. He's the big dick. And I encourage him every time he growls and yells at the little things, and he has loved every minute of being able to yell at that. Yeah. This is why we come into new kingdoms. There's always, somebody was probably trying to play. That person was probably trying to play on, before I showed up, was probably trying to play sympathies on people's like, I'm in the Ukraine. Anybody got anything? Can you help me? Yeah, you never know what's going. Yeah, you never know what they're trying to pull. It's just I could be completely wrong, but I'll guarantee the odds of me being completely wrong are very slim. Because if I lived in a war zone in a place that is below zero right now, My number one concern with every ounce of power that I could muster would not be charging my phone to play GOG. It would be maintaining that battery for when I needed a flashlight. If I had any sort of internet capability whatsoever, it would be text, get me the fuck out of here, emoji con. I'm not making light of the plight of the Ukrainians. I'm just saying I don't believe that is one. I don't believe that's just bullshit. I think pretending to be one for the purposes of milking people for whatever of a game. That's the disgusting part. Not me making fun of them. I'm making fun of somebody who says they're Ukrainian in the New Kingdom. Middle of winter. I was just explaining. I don't know. Were you hearing any of it? I was just explaining Russia's weapon of mass destruction called winter. They just bombed all the infrastructure in Ukraine. Yeah, I'm here. Can you not hear me? Hello. You can't hear me. Hello. My light's lighting up.
User was moved out of your channel. User was moved to your channel.
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. You can't. I guess.
I can hear you. Yeah, I probably need to turn up. Is he loud on? Can you guys hear him on the stream?
User disconnected from your channel.
We've had to do that.
User entered your channel.
We've had to do that a bunch. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, it was on my end.
Yeah. Did you hear the weapon of mass destruction thing for winter? I was talking about.
I did not.
No, everyone's overlooking it. The Russians went in there and they go, oh, we the Ukrainians have defeated the Russian army. They're on the run. No, winter's coming, you dumb fuckers. They just bombed all your electricity, all your food routes, all your bridges. You have nothing. You have no way to get anybody in. War in Europe in the winter doesn't happen. Everybody knows that for hundreds of years. I mean, the major losses in Europe have all been because of winter. Nobody fights in the winter over there. And now they have to rebuild a country in the middle of winter. Russia just bombed everything in a big-ass circle, cut them off, and left town. They're going to be dead come spring. Russians don't even have to waste bullets. Winter's going to do the job for them.
I kind of disagree.
You disagree? You think Biden's going to start drop loading crap loads of stuff in there and keep them all alive?
Maybe not Biden, but the multiple of other countries that are involved in it.
They ain't stepped up yet. NATO just promised $30 million worth of weapons.
I don't see Ukrainians giving up.
I didn't say they're giving up. I'm just saying the amount of them that's it's on the day that you're speaking to talk bravely before you've spent 4.5 months in subterranean freezing with no supply chain. Imagine somebody in the wilderness of Alaska but didn't spend the 5 months prior prepping for their food while they got stuck in their cabin for 3 or 4 months of the harshest winter. That happens every year in Alaska. But if you miss a month of prep time, you're dead. And you know you're going to die. The heroic stories of the guys who survived anyway. It's not that it doesn't happen, but it's not going to happen en masse. Winter is the weapon of mass destruction Putin is counting on. There's not going to be there's no amount of planes. What's that?
The Russians couldn't hold Kherson. That's why they retreated from it. They're thinking that river is going to stop them, but it's not.
Again, I think what we see and what people are producing as a strategy is not looking at the French, and it's not looking at the Nazis in World War II and when and where and how they retreated and moved backwards.
Check out a guy who, on YouTube, has a channel named
You're telling me about him. Yeah. I'm just saying,
Former Special.
but this is macro war. This is ground war. This ain't surgical strikes. This is how do you kill 1 million people? Because you can't feed 1 million people. That's
The Russian troops are given? My God.
what? Oh yeah, I understand. That's why the winter's stronger than the guns are given. What I'm saying is there's no way for the Ukrainians at this point to not have losses in the millions this winter. No way not to. And if they try to ship heating oil and stuff in from the European nations, who and where are they getting that oil from right now? Where's Germany getting to get all its oil for the winter and heat? It's getting it from Russia. How are these NATO states going to supply the Ukraine with the supplies necessary when whether or not they have heat this winter is dependent upon Putin? I'm telling you, Putin's going to win this one. And it doesn't matter what anybody's thoughts on the process are. The only choice you got, kill Putin, put somebody in that'll turn the oil on and keep it on. And right now, that nobody's talking about doing that. He's got all the cards. And China is keeping everybody off Russia's back door. And even if they weren't, the United States gave away so much of its military power underneath Obama. Trump started the process of rebuilding it, and the Congress took all the funding out of it under Trump. People forget the Democrats were in charge during the Trump era. Killed all the funding that he tried, the bills for the funding on that stuff, and then Biden come back in there and slashed it again. Anything that Trump got done, they undid. That was goal number one the day the Bidens walked in the White House. Undo everything Trump did. It doesn't matter if Trump did it, it was bad. And if you really are thinking that way, Trump tried to defend the nation, tried to rebuild it. Reagan did the same thing. You know, the joke in the Reagan era was, our weapons. Reagan was so old. That was the other joke about Reagan, was how old he was. But Reagan remembered World War II. And one of the very first problems in World War II was 4 out of 5 of our torpedoes didn't explode when they hit a target. Our Navy was 25 plus years old in 1942. The battleships they sunk in Pearl Harbor should have been decommissioned 10 years before they were sunk. The Arizona was obsolete. We were in the process of rebuilding those battleships, replacing them with modern ones that came out during World War II. Luckily, those weren't in Hawaii when we were building them. So they sped up production and they rolled them off the line. You had the New Jersey, the Missouri. There was, I think, 6 total battleships that rolled off the line. Battleships were such a leap forward in naval technology that when we went into Iraq in 1990, we had already decommissioned the World War II battleships like the Missouri and the New Jersey, the Iowa. We recommissioned them because they were still state of the art compared to what everybody else was using, even though we weren't using them anymore. And we kind of come along the mindset that our aluminum ships that we were building were a little too fragile. They couldn't take a bullet. The running joke was you couldn't kick a wall too hard because the aluminum was so brittle you could literally kick a hole in the wall. You didn't ever heard that, huh?
Not to get off subject, I just watched the funniest shit I think I've ever seen on Facebook. Black guy says, "You're white without telling me you're white." White guy comes on and says, "I got something for this," and he opens the front door of his house, and all of his little kids yell, "Dad!"
You can't tell those jokes on there. They penalize me for that shit, man.
I'm sorry. It was funny. I apologize.
Yeah.
Starving pygmies in Africa.
All the starving pygmies in Africa. Yeah. It doesn't matter. They take it out of context. It's always my blame. Am I in an alliance yet? No, I'm not.
What kingdom did you start in?
I think this is 832 or something like that.
And can I ask why?
So that the trolls don't know where I'm at the day I start. Also, you find the same people.
Told them all.
Huh? Yeah, but they
Told them all.
But when I show up in surprise format like this, they've already started telling their lies about who the next kingdom leader is going to be. And I mean, the minute a kingdom spawns, the troll teams, and it's about 20 guys and 50 computers, descend on a brand new kingdom. And they have their little own internal game. If you don't know this, so they're part of RSS sales as part of what they do. And so they have this internal game to like they spawn out these alliances, and then they have everybody fighting for the King's Challenge. Whoever wins that is the person who gets to sell RSS in that kingdom. Yeah. We blew that up in 592. When they literally were trying to endear me by telling me this stuff when we were doing that things. I said I can fix that, and they go, "How's that?" And we murdered them. We murdered everyone, and we put our foot on them. We kept them there. You know, we looked like the worst people on the planet if you didn't know why we were doing it. But we went after and killed and they didn't know how to respond to that because no one had ever done it to them before. They always got their stories, and they always got their, "Well, we're cooperative, we're going to work together, and let's play nice, and let's agree to nobody killing anybody until we get to KVK." You know, on day one of a brand new kingdom with brand new players who've never played Guns of Glory before, within minute one, they're talking about a KVK team. When the reality is, you aren't going to have a speck of a KVK team until about 3 months after your first KVK. Yeah, because you cannot put together the damage numbers. You just can't grind them out fast enough.
We actually lost KVK last time, which is surprising. We haven't lost in a long time.
Yeah. Let's see what kind of shit I stirred up in the freaking KC chat. I'm an experienced player and I need a very active alliance. If you're an experienced player, you don't need an active alliance. I proved that in 592. I played by myself for almost 7 months of the year and a half in there, just to kind of dispel that rumor. I made my alliance in 592. You know that little corner you were hanging out for in UAC? We started there. We started there. I made them farm level 1 tiles. We were the dominating alliance while up there, and everyone's like, "We are winning." It was like you've got to get out of your mind that bigger's better. You need a level 6 tile on day 1 because you cannot farm your way to more RSS. You just can't do it. The Look at this. I'm giving away 2 castles with 10k gold for $5 in hour 1 of the new kingdom. Somebody's got a new hack. That's the first time I've ever seen that sales pitch. Yeah. Never seen that sales pitch.
People message you to sell. I just thought that was a scam.
No. They show up. I mean, can't burn me but once. I'll pay you $20 one time. I guess if $30 is that important to you, that you get burnt by $30 one time, but in 592, I bought probably $200 a week worth of those ad RSS to feed the alliance. And then I would say Arkin probably bought another 150 a week himself. I didn't ask him, he just did. Hold on, I'm going to take a bio break. I'll be right back.
It was the proximity. I do.
Everybody, you want to come in here? Leroy's going nuts not being able to come in here and hang out with everybody. Huh?
For everybody.
You want film too? Come here. I want to in the chair. Come here. Buddy, I can't lean over and pick your fat ass up. You're too heavy. Him I can pick up. I got the Jake dog. Hold on, let me see. Let me get you on camera here, bud. Everybody wonder what kind of dog he is. See this thing here? They can talk to you up there, buddy.
Want to join us?
Huh? My dog Jake. You were wondering what kind of dog he is. He looks like a little mutt. He's got a German Shepherd and some kind of terrier or Chihuahua or something in him. Not Chihuahua, but terrier or some type of bird dog. Right? He's not cute. He's handsome. Tell her I got nuts. Yeah. And I divide my time between attacking shit and wanting to cuddle. That's what's adorable. But he's smart as a whip. That's the only reason he got rescued, because he's smart. And he's not going to spend a whole lot of time in here. Kick his ass, Leroy. Kick his ass. No, this is just me talking to my dogs. I don't know if you can hear them. You keep hearing a beep like somebody's coming in, huh?
Yeah, I do. It keeps saying someone's joined, someone's left.
User was moved out of your channel. Channel switched.
All right, they can't come in here.
Yeah.
All right, I just moved to some different channels. All right. Yeah. I still got to get into an alliance here so I can have some gold.
Have life after dark things.
All right, we'll go into no fucks given. That'll give me my gold. And then we will go to, all right. Wrong thing here. This is what I started out doing an hour ago. Was just to create this thing. I have 21 farms with return to the king who wants them in exchange for money. How can you have 21 farms? Are they trying to sell them in another one? The how are you already VIP 5 without having already been in an alliance? There's some weirdness here.
I didn't know they made a new kingdom in a long time.
Maybe this ain't as new as I think it is.
I don't think it is.
It's the latest one. Let's put it this way, it's the latest one. There's
That you're
that.
in?
Hold on. What is it? It cut you off there for a second.
What kingdom are you in?
Settings, account, new game. I should be in 827. Yes, my current kingdom is 827. The trolls may just be playing with themselves at this point. There we go. Do, 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 do. All right. Are you winning yet, Jake? Huh?
That bud?
I don't know if you can hear that dog yelling or not.
Biggest castle I see in your area is a 10. You see 10 in your area.
Oh, I should be out towards the edges. Let's go into the leaderboard. Leaderboards. Castle level. Who's the biggest castle of them all? There's a C26. My rank is 4,558. That's a lot of players that have joined this kingdom. Yeah. New GOG spawn, kingdom spawns are dead, is what I would say. Kick his ass, Leroy. Got to encourage the old dog. Got to get that 10-year-old beagle to whip that puppy's ass. I told him he was allowed to be the big dick. Big dog in charge. And he is, that dog didn't play when I had the other dogs, and he has played nonstop since we got that puppy. He's just had a ball. Yeah. He won't wrestle with me. He has too much respect to play with me. No gay things going on back there, is there? What the hell are you guys doing? Dominate. Ah. Yeah, I don't know what Jake is. He's soft. He's cuddly. He
Can't find anybody above a 10 in your kingdom.
well, the leaderboard says there's a C26 here. The dominate. Grunt like a little pig. The beagle is getting pretty fat. Having a puppy to play with is not a bad thing. Yeah. He's had something in his paw. My beagle has for at least a month. I think it's in his paw. The vet thinks he's got arthritis in his shoulder or his elbow. It's the first beagle I've ever seen that wasn't a drama queen. Normally whatever, you start getting near something that hurts and the beagle starts yelling and crying. And not this one. He will not give any indication of what's hurting him or where. I mean, I've pushed on different spots very hard, but he hasn't whimpered or cried yet. Any of the spots I push, I don't want to push any harder. I know I'm just hurting him just to hurt him. So we're waiting to see if something festers. Like he's got a splinter in his paw. I think he got a splinter up in his paw like a month ago. And they're so hard and so thin out here in the desert that they get up under your skin and then you can't pick them out. It's not like a normal sticker. Yeah, I think that's what he's been limping around. I think that's what's happened. He's got a little thorn up in his paw that we can't get at. So we're waiting for it to get infected, and then I'm going to go after it with a pocket knife. Yeah.
Oh.
So
That was loud.
Sorry. Well, yeah. See, the TeamSpeak gets blown out. I've got a compressor for what goes out over the web, but I don't have one going out for TeamSpeak. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Right before we did the live, we went and ate steak dinners. Yeah.
Fried chicken.
Man, I like fried chicken too. We've been eating a little better since wife got the new promotion. Yeah. Not a whole lot of places we can eat better. Yeah. This town we're in Wolfville town. We're out in the middle of nowhere. What's funny is you got to go to the Mexican restaurant if you want a good steak. And you go over to the steakhouse if you want good tacos. But the last thing you want to eat at that steakhouse is a steak. How loud are you guys?
Just redid all my coat of arms for today's reduction event. No curiosities.
Went and stockpiled one of them.
No, so I had all R10s and one R11, and I just reset them all and made the base one, and then the R11 I pushed it as. I didn't spend anything that I didn't have, and I didn't upgrades until it worked out.
I probably should have looked at it. I may have done it, but I've been stockpiling that stuff for a while. Most of my stockpiles are probably out of date.
Production event.
Yeah, well, if you wait more than 90 days, then the stuff you've accumulated for free isn't as relevant for points anymore. So you gotta you gotta wait 90 days to get your stuff upgraded for maximum dollar for free, and then you can't wait more than 90 days, or you miss out on that last week where it's just as cheap to finish things off. Yeah.
It is a cycle. It's
Yeah.
out for a year, you can come back in 90 days.
Yeah. It only takes 90 days to come back. Yeah. If you wanted to go through that route, but then you got 90 days. World of Warcraft is having a come back for free weekend this weekend. Where did I see that? I'm going to put that up there.
Friend's husband that played a shit ton of World of Warcraft, he spent a lot of money on it, passed away. Still have his login card and all that stuff, but don't know anything about it.
Right now, you can get a year for $114. I mean, we are knocking shit over in here. We're having a battle royale. This is why the dogs were locked out of the studio. Wasn't me. Oh, both of you over there looking guilty. Yeah. Somebody body slammed somebody. All right, come on. Out. I know it's the puppy's fault, isn't it? But you're the one wrestling with him, old man. Okay. Not my fault. Yeah. So it's like $114 to buy a year of it, and with the economy going to shit like it's about to go on, there's nothing that Congress or the Senate's going to be able to do right now to stop what's coming. The media is just going to blame them when it keeps coming. They're going to start blaming Republicans like, well, if we'd had Democrats, we'd have spent a couple $1 trillion and it had all been fixed. That'll be the mantra. Yeah, not it'll all appear fixed because that trillions of dollars go to how we talk about our programs, not whether or not they're effective. It's something people need to judge for themselves. And if they'd start doing it, politics would fix itself. You know, did they do something or did they say they were going to do something? So it doesn't matter what party we're talking about at that point. But at the end of the day, a leftist only has to care. They don't have to do anything. Yeah. Oh, killing whales is bad. Really? Well, what are you doing about it? I said killing whales are bad. You know, I'm a vegan. You know, that they think they've done something.
Pay me to be a vegan.
One of my favorite shows used to be Whale Wars. Did you ever watch that? It's my favorite leftist show because it was so entertaining. Where Bob Barker gave these people, you know, millions of dollars, bought them a boat to go chase the Japanese around in the ocean and disrupt their whaling. When the Japanese had signed a treaty on whaling, you know, decades before, so and part of that treaty was when they had to go do scientific research on whales, the Japanese would pull a whale out, they would study their weight and then whatever they did scientifically on it, and they'd get to keep the meat because they had to kill the whale to do the scientific research. And then they had this deal where they killed so many per year, right? And everybody goes, well, that was just them getting around it. But during the time of this treaty, it went from like 85 humpback whales to 900 in population on the planet. So apparently it was saving the whales. The populations were growing and exploding. And but you couldn't tell a leftist that. Whaling's bad, and that's all they know about it. So they'd pull up alongside these boats, and they'd have this acid that they would throw at the Japanese in these glass bottles. And if any of it touched the meat of the whales that the Japanese had just killed to do all their experiments with, it would ruin it, and they couldn't use it. So they were literally making them have to kill more whales by throwing this acid at them. And they thought the media that was on board for that was with the leftist, these are the people that were so wackadoodle they got kicked out of Greenpeace. That's the leftist whalers, the anti-whalers that they had. They'd been removed from Greenpeace. Says, you aren't any basis of science. This is all horse shit. Get away from us. And this guy that was the captain of this ship would go charging towards ice on a boat that was not double hulled to go through ice. Oh, it'll be okay. I'm like, when they sink down in the Antarctica, somebody, the people that they're going to have to pray to God that rescue them will be the ones they've been attacking the Japanese fleet. But they would like throw things at the Japanese, and when the Japanese threw stuff back they pick something up and throw it back at the Americans. The American would duck and something would go whizzing past their head, and he'd turn to the camera and goes, "Can you just believe they threw stuff at us?" When they just spent like 15 minutes on film throwing shit at the Japanese. But they thought they would cut and edit it and act like they'd been attacked, and they were just, and then they would recycle the film so they were just responding in kind. And it got so dangerous with them going and running their ships up against them, and the Americans were trying to run their ships up against. I mean, they could have sank a couple of Japanese ships down there at times. They started putting some of those non-lethal defense systems, like the one they deployed down in Cuba. You know, the thing that makes the ultra low frequency sound that makes you shit your pants. The Japanese brought one of those on board their whaling ships to target. It's like, can you believe they're attacking us? I'm like, can you believe they got to go 4,000 miles from civilization and say, please stop bothering us? Please. No one's saying that. I mean, they would show all these things. It was just my favorite leftist show because there was no rational to it. I mean, there was nothing rational about them. Yeah, you can't see. Where, oh, where?
Playing with airship parts, trying to get more production event.
I'm trying to. Something's messed up with my video here. You sent me an invite? Oh. I can't see your text. You know I'm going to kill this account, right? That's the whole point of New Kingdoms is I just kill them. For what people don't understand about this is there are so many people, both positive and negative, that follow me around, that good people get sucked into thinking I'm going to stay in the kingdom because I may not tell people. Excuse me. I may not tell people that. When the good people get sucked into the kingdom, they wind up being at the mercy of the trolls, who are relentless if you say one nice word about me. To where you will find yourself wiped out in the middle of the night, because they don't care about their accounts. They've got hundreds of them everywhere. They're robotically built. They'll rebuild themselves. And all they need to be the trolls is for you to believe the same thing that the left believes about the Iranians. If we just leave them alone, we can talk about peace for a long time. They don't need you to leave them alone to talk about peace because they got no interest in peace. They just need the time to rebuild the accounts for free. The Iranians just need time to build up their weapons. It's about having the power to make you capitulate to their will via force, and that's where the time is needed. When you are the superior force in any negotiation and world negotiations or treaties, you don't offer time. Like, no. Like, oh, can we just talk about it for 7 months? No, I'm here to kick your ass today. You know, the Iraq War went swimmingly well in 1990. It lasted 4 days. It's called the 4-Day War. It was supposed to be World War III, 130 nations involved. The planet's going to die. 4 days later, it was over. Because when you set your mind to whipping somebody's ass, you just commence to whipping somebody's ass. And then where Saddam Hussein was still a problem 10 years later is the Democratic Congress that was in charge in 1990 defunded Bush from finishing the job. Just literally cut him off with money. He couldn't, and we wound up in a 10-year-long war with the Iraqis. Well, fuck. Longer than that. 20-year-long war with the Iraqis, all the way up to 2010 with the Iraqis because we didn't finish the job that it was only 4 days. They were beaten. We'd had 140 nations occupying the Iraqi territory. There would have been people all over the country trying to keep down on terrorism and terrorist groups from forming. We'd have had this completely different thing going on in the world. But at the end of the day, there's this man named George Soros who loves terrorist groups to influence currency. In this election, you know that you've seen some of that news on the FTX fraud guy, right? He was the number 2 donor to the Democrats this election cycle at $200 million. The number 1 donor was George Soros still. George Soros, who collapses economies by manipulating currency. If people don't think that the number 1 and the number 2 guy were working on the same page while one manipulated currency and tried to create a collapse, the Fried ran away with the money days before the election. It was like, oops, I just made some bad decisions. Sorry, I'm filing bankruptcy. No one knows where that billions of dollars are. They know a bunch of it got laundered through the Ukraine. Well, if billions of dollars is being laundered through the Ukraine, why don't they have a shitload of money right now? The U.S. wasn't giving them any. It's every bit of this has been a scam. I think the number 2 guy for the Ukraine is living in Switzerland right now. Right? The government of the Ukraine isn't even in Ukraine except for that one leader. Everybody else has got a nice house somewhere else. And they're just hoping that when somebody gets a golden bullet in that ex-comedian start actor who just won't capitulate, then the other guys, well, who's next in line? Oh, all these people we bribed. They're next in line. That's where we're at. It doesn't matter whether people believe that's where we're at or not. Let somebody die and you'll see it for yourself. Like, oh, here's this other guy and he's been working with the United States for a long time. They'll never say he's been working with the Democrats for a long time. They damn sure ain't going to say he's been working with Trump, because then they're going to ask Trump, was he working with you? And Trump's going to tell them, oh, sure he was. Or, no, that little fucker, we couldn't get him on the phone. You know, you don't know what's going to come out of Trump's mouth. I think in U.S. politics, you're going to get Trump running for office this next time. And even Trump's huh?
He's already announced his candidacy.
Well, I mean, seriously running. I mean, but everybody's thinking that the governor of Florida is going to jump in. And I don't think no. I think
He won't do it.
I think the best thing for the country is that he stays the governor of Florida for the next 4 years. And then he's got
it's like Peyton Manning living in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
DeSantis has the keys to Florida.
Yeah, he's you keep
do
him
whatever he wants in Florida.
Yeah, and then when he's done with his second term in Florida, he's got 2 years to set up for a run for presidency with another 4 years of success under his belt. Should be a slam dunk to take over after whoever the next president is.
Chris Christie thought he was going to win. He's the first person to run as an independent, a Democrat, and a Republican.
Yeah, he was a douche all 3 times, too.
Didn't lose all 3.
Yeah. I think he tried Libertarian there for a little bit. I used to be a registered Libertarian because when you register for a party, they get free money for advertising, right? They get $1 per voter that's registered in the party to spend for public money for advertising. So I used to support the Libertarian Party by being registered Libertarian. And then I went to 3 or 4 of the freaking political meetings, and I told them, says, oh, wow, I'm moving back to the Republican Party. They go, why is that? And I said, well, the Republican Party in the state of New Mexico is corrupt, but at least they're not batshit crazy. I said, there ain't a single person here in the Libertarian Party that will not talk to me about anything other than getting marijuana legalized. I guarantee you there's more important shit going on. Yeah, no one gives a fuck that you're doing drugs. Stop talking about it. Get that through your head. No one gives a fuck. Just shut up. Meanwhile, while they're talking about people, well, people are getting fired for drug tests. I'm like, okay. But at the end of the day, I'm a libertarian, but I also believe in my property rights under the Constitution. And if I own a company, I don't know, say I own a construction company and I got a bunch of bulldozers, and I decide I don't want my employees doing drugs, It's me that goes to jail and it's me that gets bankrupt when the guy that's got a hangover from all the drugs, sex, and alcohol that he's on kills somebody. If I say to work for me, you can't do drugs, that's the agreement of why you get my money. You're not entitled to my money and then do whatever the fuck you want and put me at risk of destroying that income and that property. They don't, you can't talk about your personal sovereign rights while you're taking somebody else's personal sovereign rights away from them in the process of doing it. They never, yeah. Well, that's the thing about being self-employed, right? Look, we own gun ranges, and you wouldn't believe how many of these bullshit gun charities out here. It's like, well, you can't build a gun range because we've been raising money to build a gun range for 20 years, and you can't get insurance for a gun range. So why do I need insurance? Well, in case somebody shoots themselves. So, what makes you think that's the end all be all of why you should own a business? You know, they got the charities out here got donated 600 acres to build a gun range on. I say donated. They rent it for $1 a year, but as part of the requirement of getting the land to shoot on, they have to find an insurance policy that'll cover them. No insurance will cover them. I said, so in other words, they effectively said you can't have a gun range. While the government said you can have one, they also put a loophole in the contract that says you really can't have one. I said, yet here I got one attached to my gun store. You can buy a gun, walk out back, and shoot off all the bullets I just sold you. I'm making money. What are you guys doing? Well, what if somebody shoots themselves? I said, first, they got to admit that they were that stupid if they did it by accident. Second, it doesn't make me liable. Now they have to sue me and prove that I should have known they were too stupid to know which direction the bullets came out of a gun. You know, if you get people that would come out and buy a gun just for the strict purposes of suicide, it's such a rare thing, and there would be no way to prevent that no matter where you are. So what you do to defend yourself in those situations is you set up a corporation, a limited liability corporation. You put $1 in the bank account. That corporation owns the land. They're the ones liable for everything that happens on it. If you get sued and they take you for everything, they've taken you for $1. And usually once a lawyer on the behalf of a victim researches the fact that there's no insurance money, so they're not going to get some settlement payment, they're going to have to sue and take property, and then they find out there is no property and there is no freaking money in the bank, the lawyer's not interested anymore. They're not into it for altruistic reasons. They know the client's full of shit. They're just hoping to convince the jury to rob them blind and give the lawyer 40% of what they get. I should say we don't own the land, we rent the land. There's nothing to take. Absolutely nothing to take. We could be fined to be grossly negligent, and there'd be nothing to take. We learned to set up businesses in that structure because we own a skydive operation. And when we have insurance for skydive operations, we had a lawyer run around suing us every time somebody run around and stub their toe on our airport, and they would sue us for $200,000. Well, I was looking up and I ran in my toe into a parking curb, and I think it's worth $200,000 worth of mental anguish. You have that too.
Yeah.
It's you're a contractor, right?
Yep.
Yeah. When I had to, I have the ability to resell Yamaha, the premium Yamaha stuff, home stereos. Yamaha requires me to have a $2 million walking liability policy in case.
Expensive.
No, it's not, but $2 million at the disposal of a lawyer is a big freaking dangling carrot. In case I build the stereo system so loud I blow out somebody's eardrums, or knock over their Fabergé egg collection while installing stuff in the house, that kind of crap.
I have a $2 million policy.
Yeah, $2 million. Our our skydiving days, we used to have a $10 million policy. The
Mine's less than $100 a month.
It's fairly cheap if you're depending on what your arrangements are. Well, what your arrangements are. They'll cover you to cover you, and then you read your clauses and like, but if you actually get sued, we're going to drop you. In other words, we'll collect money as long as nobody's suing you. I may have to get off here just because my throat's killing me.
Another one, man.
Didn't I bring some ricotas in here? My gosh. The
Mexico legalized marijuana.
No.
Florida has medical.
Oh, New Mexico? Yeah, they had storefronts on the side of the road 2 years before they legalized recreational marijuana. They were just completely ignored. You could put a sign out front that says I sell marijuana while it was still against the law. But it's not a matter of whether or not I think some people should do drugs. It's a matter of not whether somebody thinks that I should pay for their drug treatment program when they can't handle it, which is the law in all 50 states right now, right? Oh, yeah, I can't be fired because I got a drug problem and I'm on my way to rehab. So your health insurance carrier is now going to pay for me to spend 3 months in a $20,000 a month facility.
Marijuana?
Doesn't matter what you claim it's over.
I don't know anybody that went to that rehab for marijuana.
If you're being fired, you'll say anything.
True.
There's no standard to what's considered a drug addict. If you took drugs one time, you're a drug addict. All you have to do is say you are. They created a narrative. The first step is admitting it, right?
Yes, so. Oh, I admit it. I smoke marijuana. I ain't even gonna deny it. I got a bowl sitting next to me, packed nice and green.
Well, here's the thing. In the 1990s, under Clinton, because I don't know if you know this, but Bill Clinton made his bones having his state troopers move cocaine through the state of Arkansas. Okay. And when Bill Clinton won the presidency for the 1990 in 1991, when he won the presidency, was going to be inaugurated in 92, 60 of Bill Clinton's closest friends suddenly fell down in front of a railroad train and died. And they're called the Whitewater tapes. Used to be you could get one of these VHS tapes at a gun show. And then the ATF went Nazi on frickin' all these right-wing groups that were doing things like selling books and showing people videos and evidence of what our current president was up to before he made up. Because Bill Clinton didn't win the office of presidency. He split the vote. Ross Perot split the vote.
I voted for Ross.
Yeah, Ross Perot split the vote. And that's how Bill Clinton got to be president. That started the worst two and a half decades, 3 decades now, in America's 230 odd years. The Clintons are the worst story that ever happened to anybody. That is a crime family. Always has been. Yeah, I got
spot on Monica Lewinsky's dress was.
What's that?
Residue.
What? Residue. The what was it somebody was saying about Monica Lewinsky not too long ago? You know, She made like 12.5 to $15 million off of Bill Clinton before it was over. She really cleaned house. Yeah.
Most paid for blowjob in history.
Did you ever see the picture of Bill Clinton, the painting of Bill Clinton in the blue dress?
No.
Oh my gosh, let me find.
I gotta go look for it.
I'm gonna find it for everybody else here too. All right. I think you can just say Bill Clinton in a blue dress. You'll come right up. Then I'm going to tell you where that thing was. Here's the story behind the bizarre painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress. I'll see if the story's right or not, or if somebody's trying to rewrite it because it was.
Oh, that's funny. I see it.
Okay. That's Bill Clinton wearing Monica Lewinsky's blue dress. That was hanging above the fireplace in Epstein's mansion in New Mexico when they raided it. The land next door to Epstein's mansion was a childish terrorist camp where they were teaching children to become suicide bombers. They arrested the two people that were running the child terrorist camp next to Epstein's property, right? Where all this crazy crap's going on, and let them out on open bail. Just like you hear about them doing now. New Mexico was one of the first states to have that open bail policy. Arrested them under training children to blow themselves up. They paid no fine and were released on their own recognizance and never showed up again. Why would they? You were about to be accused of terrorism. They didn't even hold them for bail for a terrorism charge. This is why you get upset when you see. Well, I'm going to read it too. See if they're full of shit or not. The painting has been identified as.
It's a pretty long article. News.artnet.com.
Yeah. No, this is kind of full of shit. They're acting like this came from somebody who was doing this on every president or was this just this kind of artist. That was an inside joke. That article, you click number one on Google and you're not. Yeah, the one on artnet.com, bullshit. But Google's had decades to clean this up, right? But look what all's on the first page. New York Mag. I mean, this is going to be a reprint of bullshit information. Oh man, I've been talking about it for a while, and I forgot about it. All of a sudden, sulfur ion batteries are everywhere on Google, right? Because 4 months ago, I was talking about doing some stuff with my crypto, and I was doing research on sodium sulfur batteries. So sodium ion batteries are everywhere on Google now. And Google literally laundried the internet over communication that we had on a live event here from a 1960s technology. Sodium sulfur batteries are from the 1960s. They were invented by Ford Motor Company. They were designed as part of the Ford Motor Race Division. They just don't respond well to moving vehicles. You can't put them in a race car. Crap loads of power. Ford thought they would put them in their jet airlines and jet engines, and they were using them to jumpstart race cars. And they wound up selling the technology to the Japanese company NGK. These batteries, you could literally buy one of these batteries, plug it into your house, and charge it in 1 hour and run your house for a week. That's how fast they'll store power. Which means in states where you have off-hour electrical prices, like at 2 in the morning, you pay 2 cents a kilowatt versus 15 cents a kilowatt. you could charge for your house for the whole week if you had one of these batteries. So I started talking about this, that I think this is the next step to what they're going to pull off with solar stuff, because solar was such bullshit technology to begin with, that this was really the introduction to, if you're going to have wind farms, then you got to take advantage of when the wind is blowing, which means you have to have a massive storage potential, and that was going to be these sulfur sodium batteries. Sodium sulfur batteries. My brain keeps wanting to say potassium, and I keep catching itself. The the and Google whitewashed the sodium sulfur battery off the freaking internet there, and replaced every search for a sodium battery with sodium ion, leaving China in charge of a sodium ion battery, which I had never heard of until I was going to go write a new article on it like a month later. And I started to redo my research, and all my research was gone. Because I was researching something that was 60, 70 years old. I wasn't researching new technology. And I think the first clue was when I was there was a book that I was trying to buy that was written on those batteries. And I remember looking at it on eBay, and I said, you know what, I'll get that next month, because the book was like $180. And all of a sudden, here on eBay is these sodium ion batteries in place of that book for the same $180 instead of the sodium sulfur batteries. It was just a FUD campaign to keep the Chinese in charge, because we've spent all this money on windmills that go nowhere. You know, the dirty secret about these big windmills that everybody thinks is cool when they drive down the highway is they're either usually turning too slow or they're turning too fast. They rarely turn in the sweet spot in the middle, which is a good thing, because when the wind's blowing 35 miles an hour, you don't want to be outside anyway. But when the wind's turning 50 miles an hour, they're not working. You got to shut them down or they'll blow up. You can't make the grid suddenly need more power than what it can possibly draw. And dumping power to ground is very, very hard to do. So I've been building this windmill thing for my shop out here. And I'm running into some pretty big engineering problems with how I'm going to dump 10 kilowatts of power to ground when I don't need it no more. Because you can't just freaking short circuit it. It blows everything up. It's got to go through a load. So you got to have a load that can handle 10 kilowatts of power. And I think I got the solution for it.
Life After Dark made a comment about Ben Shapiro. I like him too.
What did he say? I can't see the
I
screen.
like Ben Shapiro.
Oh.
Says he's sharp, but he doesn't really have that leader vibe. I could see him as a leader.
Who, Ben Shapiro?
I like him. Yeah.
Well, he's the right kind of dickhead. He's the right kind of dickhead, though. He's smart. He's quick.
Smart.
And he's learned.
I like his views.
Well, it's not a matter of his views. I learned from Ben Shapiro. He's one of the people I studied there when I was deciding to get into this. I'm like, how do you twist people in real time? And that's what Ben Shapiro knows how to do. He's a master of it. Way better than I'll ever be. You know, you watch Rush Limbaugh, you watch Ben Shapiro, and you're about ready to deal with people on the internet. You will make them pull their own hair out just because you can counter them in real time. You got to be prepared with the facts. As I get a little harder to dig up facts or remember, I couldn't remember the word sulfur for that battery for 5 months, when it was my brain that thought it up the first time. It's like, man, I know there's this whole technology out there, and I went and looked for it and said, look at there, that might do the job. And then 5 months later, I couldn't remember the damn word sulfur. That's ridiculous. You know, you can't debate somebody when your brain's like that. It's like constant Swiss cheese. I still remember more than most people, but There's been a debate here locally about me running for office because it's so corrupt that I might be the perfect guy to go after the corrupt people. That I might rile people up enough to put down some of this corruption in the state of New Mexico. And I've informed them more than a few times. I've been at odds with the Yates family, who owns a lot of land here. And for those who don't know, the Yates family is the ex-Chicago mob. They're now oil field moguls, if you read them in the news now. But they're when the Democrats got rid of the mob, the FBI got rid of the mob, they gave them new jobs. One of their new jobs is they became oil moguls. We've had some discussions out in some fields where everybody's wondering who's going to draw first. People who had discussions with the Yateses in the past have found their own pickups running themselves over. That's the kind of people you're talking about for the business negotiation. I think I told people before about, I bought a piece of land dead center in the middle of the Yates' property and went out deliberately to pick a fight with them just to get them to buy me out for a quick profit flip. Because I bought 80 acres for $8,000. And I wasn't going to take less than $30,000 on the quick flip. 80 acres out here, land, good oil acreage out here could go for $6,000 an acre. But you try and squeeze the Yateses for $6,000, for $500,000, they'll be buying my land out of probate, as they go through my will. I will suddenly have a home invasion problem, not just shot out in the middle of nowhere while negotiating. You got to know who you're dealing with out here. Don't want to bring that problem around your rest of your family. $500,000 is a lot of money to them. And I'd had problems with the Yateses before because they owned the bar next to my store. And I was friends with it was a brewery. I was friends with the brewmaster, and I was helping him with his computer system for making the beer. And then we would sit back there and drink the raw beer at night. And then when they ran off my friend the brewmaster, wrongly ran him off. He was 33. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, he was 33 and started dating some 19-year-old girl, and the manager didn't like it. And so they really made his life miserable. So they said, you know what? I don't have to be here. And, there's breweries all over this country that will hire me. And he quit and moved. And then they came over to me and it's like, well, our computer system for our beer system is down, and you're the one that built it. Can you come fix it? I'm like, no. And the manager's like, why? So I said, because I don't like you. And it was just beyond recognition that she worked for a Gates, an absolute rich prick, a billionaire, and she couldn't believe that someone had the nerve to tell her no, and she was nothing more than an employee. Just the arrogance of it. And I'm like, you just highly disregard how much I don't give a shit about your personal little petty problems. And it was, I think it was shortly thereafter in the middle. I can't remember exactly when the timing. They had when they had the Sumerians, the Israelites that were trapped on top of a mountain, surrounded by a Muslim group closing in on them. They were doing a fundraiser in town for them, and the guy that was in charge of their fundraising for this Jewish tribe, they were doing it over at the theater, and he couldn't his laptop was more modern than anything else we had in America. Because we were so far, we were just buying nothing but the cheapest Chinese shit here in this country. Whatever China would make, that's what we buy in the United States. So he had this laptop that was just advanced compared to everything else. Plus, it's not in English. It's in Hebrew. and they couldn't figure out how to hook it into the system so that they could do their, which is a theater system, like a movie theater. They couldn't figure out how to do all that. So I went over and I did all that stuff for them, spent a couple hours working on it, and I made it work. Because I happened to have a couple pieces of tech that no one else had. You'd had to drive 500 miles just to get something from Best Buy. That would do the conversion. And while I'm finishing it up and that video starts to play, I'm walking out the door. I hadn't talked to anybody. I wasn't glad handing anybody. I was just leaving. It was late. I was heading back. And the person in charge, because Yates owned that theater, you're not getting any contracts from us. I'm like, I didn't ask for a contract. And I mean, he just got belligerent with me, got up in my face again a couple times, like, and I just walked off. But that guy's wife watched the way they treated me after I helped him out. And he come back over after they got done with their things, and he gave me this handmade silver necklace that they'd made for gifts for the people that were helping them out. And I got that. That's what I got out of that deal. It was like, I wasn't asking for money. I wasn't asking for contracts. I wasn't. My competition was their tech guy who wouldn't answer their phone. And had he answered the phone, he'd had to come over to my store and ask me if I had the parts he needed. Because he was just some guy. The Yates had put him in an office next door to my computer store to do computer repair next door to my computer store. Just to try and run customers down. So I was $150 an hour to fix your computer. So he had a big old sign out front that says only $75 an hour. And I get people that come over there after doing business with the kid for 3 weeks, and they'd be crying like, every picture I ever had in my life is on this computer, and he wanted to charge me for the screws back. Because it's 3 weeks later, he hadn't fixed nothing, and they said, can I pick up my computer? He has it disassembled and wanted to charge people $80 if they wanted a bag of screws to go with the thing he took apart. And I had to say, I said, don't worry about it. We got more screws laying around on the floor back here than he possibly could have had over there. But those are the type of people I was dealing with. And they couldn't comprehend what kind of an arrogant ass I was being. But before I'd started that computer store, we were up in Greensburg, Kansas. I was running my news company at the time. And when I ran my news company, I thought I was done working forever. It was like a damn counterfeiting machine. I was printing cash. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to talk to nobody. It was just a fully automated internet business that was making money. And so my friend Bruce, I was talking to my friend Bruce on the phone. He goes, man, and I told him, I'm bored. Says it's one thing to talk about getting rich once in a while, but guess what? I got nobody to play with. And he says, well, you can come up here and help me in Greensburg. You won't believe the shit they're pulling off. So I come up there to do some news stuff, and this is where the start of Pilgrim Films, everybody knows them as Deadliest Catch, the Mike Rowe. They used to be the original Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs people. This is where they all got their start. So all these people were just starting in the business at that time in Greensburg, Kansas. So, I got to meet people when we're just still sitting around drinking beer at the end of a workday. And so the city council, so the tornado, the F5 tornado ripped all these houses off their foundations. So it's a town full of basements. And then they'd gone around and they'd certified which basements could be kept and a house could be built back on top of and which ones couldn't. And only about 1 out of every 3 basements weren't a cracked foundation, so you just really couldn't rebuild in the town. And the reality was the source of income in Greensburg, Kansas was unwed mothers. So you had dad who go and buy an $8,000 house. It's about all it cost. Put his daughter in there who just had a kid in high school, and she's collecting welfare and freaking child credit, everything else. He's collecting rent on her living in her own house that he only paid $8,000 for, and that was the economy of that town. and here comes all of Hollywood in that town to rebuild all these new homes. And me and Bruce were pretty matter of fact about it. It says, look, you're trying to build back houses here that nobody can afford but the people who are building them. And you're 150 miles from anywhere. It was 150 miles to Wichita. And there was all kinds of craziness because every green idea that would ever come on the planet, styrofoam walls to concrete silo bunkers to hell, we built a straw bale house just to see if we could do it.
They do that out in Arizona.
Yeah, well, straw bale in any dry climate is a great thing. Straw bale, they'll tell you, everybody that builds a straw bale house will tell you. So there's 200-year-old straw bale houses. There's one 200-year-old straw bale house. Can anybody tell me what the weather was like the year they baled that straw? Because there's not thousands of 200-year-old straw bale houses. And the reason straw lasts almost in perpetuity is it's got no nutrients in it, so the bugs don't eat it. But if it's not completely 100% dry, it'll mildew and mold and collapse like anything else will.
How's that castle coming along?
I quit working on it.
So did you ever check out Entropia?
No. Dude, I feel bad about sitting in front of the computer playing video games these days. I don't want to. I mean, I literally started this Guns of Glory thing just because I was getting disabled. I couldn't get out of the house. I'm trying to get to where I move around more than I used to. Yeah, so we went up there and we got in a fight with the banker for that town. And I had fuck you money at that local town level. And I was going around and buying up a vacant lot. Because in order to build a modern house where those old houses were, you had to buy 3 lots side by side. So the banker would go and secure the first lot, and then he would offer, and the going rate was about $1,200 for the lot, right? But then he'd offer the lots on either side of him like $600, $700 for the lot. Just being a douche. I mean, when $3,000 for to put a land up was dirt cheap. And I started buying one of the 3 lots to keep him from being able to build a house back up on his lots. And I think I did that. I got up to like 16 or 17 pieces of property that I'd bought. And they wouldn't let us put a building I had bought up so that we had a place indoors to sleep while we're doing construction work in that town. They'd stopped us from doing that. And he come over there and he's like, well, I hear you're doing business for, I can't remember the name of some subcontractor. And Bruce was like, well, we just want to work with everybody. We don't care who we do bids for. It's like, well, if you're doing contract work for them, you're not going to get much work in this town. We're going to make sure you don't. And then he switched the subject. It's like, and I hear you got a bunch of lots that maybe you'd be willing to sell. And I said, I hear I got a bunch of lots that I'm completely unwilling to sell. He says, well, that don't make sense. I said, it does if you realize I'm fucking with you. The look on this guy's face, and Bruce like, you just sat there and told my best friend since high school that either he plays ball your way or no way at all. Guess what? I'm now the 800-pound gorilla in the room that just stopped you from hiring your contractor because you don't have a lot to do any work off of. And it was small town politics is what it was. This is one of these bankers that back in the 80s when they had the savings and loan scandals, he would go out and loan a farmer, $200,000 on his land that was worth $2 million. And then the minute he was a day late on the payments, they'd steal his property. That was that type of banker. So I didn't like him to begin with because I grew up a farmer in Kansas. Yeah, I think I still own like 15 or 16 lots in that town. Yeah. But we tried to do things like get them to convert it to a DC standard. I'm like, they were building solar plants and windmills out on the edge of town. I was like, but you have no DC standard in this town. Everything's got to be converted from the windmill to AC and then from AC back to DC. I said, if you just ran a DC standard and asked all these, why you had the TV stations here, I said, they make these appliances. They put them in every motorhome. You could be putting flat screen TVs that operate off 12-volt DCs in every single house in this town. Build one inverter for the house. You build each house like it's a mobile home, but you create a DC standard for the home house so that you know how to wire it up. To this date, I don't think there's a DC standard or anywhere in this country. Meanwhile, we keep talking about freaking alternative energy. But no one knows how to wire a house in DC voltage, because we had that argument back in the 1870s and Watts lost. Because you can't transmit DC long distance. But we're not putting these things long distance. We're putting these windmills right outside of town now. We don't have to transmit it 500 miles across the state. We're putting the solar panels right on people's roofs. They don't have to go, even 20 miles outside of town. The problem with DC is long distance transmission. The other problem is with AC is it's the conversion loss. You can transmit it long distance, but the loss rates are huge. So you got to produce a lot more electricity than you can use. No one wanted to hold that discussion, and I tried. Now that all this stuff's been going on with crypto, I got 2 congressmen I'm talking to now that have just been newly elected to Congress that I was talking to before they got elected to Congress that want to have some discussions about how to write a national frickin' DC voltage bill so the contractors know how to put low voltage electricity in. And I wanted to tell them, and I want to be involved in writing that bill so that we don't turn around and let these scam artists that develop these contractor licensing scenarios in each of the states. It's one company. Like, you got a contractor's license, right?
Yep.
One company gives that test in every state. Nationwide. Who the fuck made them the authority?
Right.
They don't even follow the basic rules of electronics and science. It is the needs of a home. Go into any new home before it's got the first stick of furniture in it. And if it's not a $500,000 or better house, turn and ask where the big screen TV is going to hang on the wall. Because no one's even thought about it. They're still using 1950s floor plans. That's how little thought goes into it. Because they got to meet code. And that floor plan is already past code. And if you submit that floor plan to the state, then you're just going to get rubber stamped approved. It's floor plan XYZ. It needs this much wiring, it needs that much this, it needs this much plumbing. And if they make a change to what kind of plumbing or some new type of fixture or whatever, it's easy to modify that one plan for everybody all at once. It ain't little ticky-tacky houses because the contractors are lazy. It's little ticky-tacky houses because the contractors don't want to go through that much trouble to be creative. Finding the place where the room is properly lit for a flat screen TV these days, to where the heat comes in the floor and the air conditioning comes in the roof, to where you're not turning, that why we don't have dual climate zones in every single home built in America to cut down on heating and cooling costs, I don't know. How do you build a new house that doesn't have dual climate zones? The switch back and forth. It's one electric switch for for heating versus cooling to change the directional flow of the air. And it almost
Not every house has a crawl space.
Why are we building new houses that don't have crawl spaces?
Florida, no house has a crawl space.
It's all on slab?
Everything's on slab.
Well, I can see that especially since it's a sandy place, right?
Yeah, they have to import red clay for a foundation on top of the sand. Then they pour that slab and build the house so fast the slab is always cracking.
Right. But you could, you could build ducting into the slab. I'm about to do that in my house. We're on a slab. This house that I'm in now, we're on a slab. I got half the house I got brand new flooring in. The other half of the house we haven't put the new flooring in because I'm about to dig a channel through this slab just to put water lines and other stuff in the slab before I put the new floor down.
What kind of floors you gonna put down?
Well, I got a nice hardwood floor that we're putting down.
Tongue and groove nail.
Oh, there's no nail. This is some we couldn't afford this stuff today. We bought enough to do the whole house. This stuff is so shock absorbent that a golf ball won't bounce off of it.
What is it?
I don't remember.
All planks.
They're 6 foot long planks. The
Sounds like a vinyl plank, or is it wood?
It's wood, but it's got some other material on the back of it that takes all vibration out of it, so it has no recoil.
So it's a floating floor?
Yeah, it's a floating floor. We've had half the house down for 10 years. We've never had a single problem with it. It's resilient. I dragged the couch around on it. It doesn't even scratch. And it's wood. It's sandable.
What color is it?
Oh, it looks like a dark redwood. But
as long as you keep fluids off it, it'll last you a good while.
Oh no, I'm mopping.
Want it to shine, use charcoal lighter fluid.
We've got one of those.
Works.
We got one of those wet mop things that freaking literally steams the floor. Works on that thing. We've had no problems with this floor.
With wood.
It was 12 years ago, and she spent a little over $9,500 just on the floor. And today it would cost us close to $58,000 for the same wood. And I don't even $58,000 for that same, because I was going to match the shop. I was looking at it not too long ago. I was looking at it about a year ago when I was moving the studios. I was like, well, what would it take to just match the shop, because it's a separate house from a regular building, to the house, so that it had the same feel and vibe. Because then my studio, my other studio, I was going to put a bathroom in and a closet in, and so that the studio for filming was also a studio apartment. So that when we get ready to move out of this place, we got a separate house on the side of this house. That's the long-term plan.
I can tell you about floating floor materials, the cost of labor, and 35 grand back in the day. That sounds like a lot of money for a floor. Get tongue and groove 2 and 3.
Oh, we didn't spend. We spent 7,000. We spent 7,000 on it. On the wood, just the wood.
That labor too?
No labor involved. We had to do it ourselves. I grew up in a Mennonite school, man. My wife got tired of this brag, but like when we did the hallway, and you had to cut all the wood for the width of the hallway, and it was a long plank run down the hallway. And I said, just before you put the baseboard back over it, I said, look down that hallway. That looks like that whole hallway came off of one big machine. There wasn't a freaking 64th of an inch from one board to the next of freaking movement when I laid that floor down. She goes, that is amazing. I'm like, that's the benefit of growing up in a Mennonite town right there.
Would cut all your door jams?
Did I have to do what with my door jams?
All your door jams?
Oh, we have to do all the door jams in this house. Every one of them. This thing has been somebody's flip project for 30 years prior to we got it. And I think it's one person after another, all thinking they were going to do a little bit of work and flip it. And so we're at the point where we've got to gut the ceiling out of the entire house so that we can put new wiring down. And then when I put the ceiling in, when I was talking about having the dual zones for the air, I'm going to run a dual zone down the wall in between the bedrooms. So there's a vent in the wall down low.
I had a buddy years ago, about 20 years ago. He ran commercial flex pipe under the ground
Yeah.
of it. Uh, Put a simple fan at the back of it, and it cooled the air off when it came in.
It wouldn't take much. Yeah.
Priced an AC system these days? Oh my God!
Yeah, see, we bought a brand new packet, 5-ton package unit for the roof up there, 16 SEER, and our electric bill went up, not down. I'm like, this
Yeah,
new energy efficient air conditioner is burning more energy. I was like, again, the Obama strikes. You go to digging into the
have
standards,
that
and they,
short somewhere in your house you were talking about.
yeah, I'm fairly certain there's some cotton wiring up in the roof that's gotten some moisture in it that's carbonized. The so we're gonna get to it here. Like I said, she just got a big job. She just got a big pay raise. And I was sitting there thinking the other day, we were thinking about how much more money she's making. I'm like, shit, I forgot to to take into account things like we were already paying maximum on her 401k, because the maximum you can put in your 401k every year is 20 grand. Well, we were already dumping 20 grand a year in her 401k. So she just went up $50,000 a year in salary, but it doesn't mean, it's a proportional increase. I mean, we it's $50,000 over and above all the other expenses we already covered. Yeah, so we got 50,000 extra dollars a year, not just more a year. The she's already kind of getting screwed over on that one. So she's working salaried, right? Her first day on her salary job, she worked 21 hours.
Darn it!
She has been home on time one day in the last 2 weeks. And then tomorrow being Saturday, and it's supposed to be her day off, she's got to go in and work a 12-hour shift tomorrow. But that one's because she traded a day with somebody else, and she owes him a day's worth of work. And so everybody's looking the other way as she goes back to working a union job for one day, just to cover somebody else's shift. Just to pay him back, because she already gotten her free day out of the guy, and she needed to pay it back. But after that, we're kind of hoping that she gets into the point where she shows up at home. She's supposed to be home at 3:30 in the afternoon every day. But we're both such workaholics for so long. She hadn't made it off of work, and I'm like, I know you're fucking off at work. You literally can't get past the fact you're not working 12-hour days no more. So you're making up shit to do out in that plant come 3:30. It's like, well, I wait till about 3 o'clock to start doing my paperwork. I was like, exactly. Yeah.
Got lung cancer, buddy?
I've been dying since I was supposed to be dead in the year 2007. Yeah. My lungs are just a mess. Always have been. You haven't heard me. I've been
Mine
coughing.
too. You ever get pleurisy?
What's that?
It's an infection in the lining of your lungs.
Man, out here, if you're coughing, it's freaking a cold. you got pneumonia. That's it.
I had a pleural infusion, and I keep getting pleurisy from it.
The best thing is the one thing they won't give me anymore. I used to get some codeine pills for some temporary pain spikes. And a codeine pill will stop the cough just instantaneously. Or getting cough syrup with codeine, and it will stop it just instantaneously. Now for my pain pills, I get this Lyrica stuff, which costs me 50 times what damn codeine costs, but it works. And so I don't have as much spiked pain as I had before. It's just winter. Every winter, it's a risky thing for me. It's a risky thing for me nowadays. Didn't used to be.
Yeah, and it feels like a big man standing on.
Oh, I feel like that all the time, dude. Anytime I go into the hospital for like a week at a time. I go into the IC units, and these people freak out, even though I tell them up front. I was like, look, you lost me?
No.
Oh. These people freak out when I go in the hospital because I'll fall asleep and my oxygen levels will drop down to below 70. I
don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. I don't know if my
User left your channel. User joined your channel.
Can you hear me now? I can always hear you. Can you hear me?
User disconnected from your channel.
Hold on.
User joined your channel.
Can you hear me?
Yep, got you back.
All right. So yeah, I go in the hospital and my oxygen levels will drop below 70 whenever I fall asleep. But as soon as I'm awake, they go back up. And you get morons who go, oh, sleep apnea. I'm like, that's when you stop breathing while you're sleeping. I don't stop breathing. It just, for some reason, I stop processing oxygen when I go to sleep. And nowadays, and it gets worse and worse as I get older. So I wake up in the morning and I got that far. Yeah. I got to spend about 20 minutes on the edge of my bed upright before I don't feel like somebody's been punching me for the last 30 minutes. I mean, I'm that punch drunk when I wake up now. And they won't give me oxygen.
Try a line of Coke or a Red Bull before you go to bed.
Dude, everybody laughs, but I drink these fucking monsters like nobody's business. And you wouldn't believe what kind of good they do for you. Not only do they do good for my breathing, they do good for the urinary tract, these white ones. You can drink those monsters and it's like taking the damn, you see all that stuff for your helping your urethra out. Whatever the sweetener is inside those white monsters, it's different than anything else. It makes you clean. It's like flushing your damn bladder out. They have stuck so many damn antibiotics in me that are overwhelmingly strong that each time I go in there, they think it's the last time my kidneys are going to function. And like I said, I was supposed to be dead in 2007. I'm just a defiant of all odds. And they're not trying to do anything to extend my life. Each time I go in there, like, oh, this will be the time we we just get rid of one more person on the planet because it's overpopulated. That's the way they're thinking. There's a great doctor out in California who just got fired because he questioned the thinking on COVID. It's like, you guys aren't trying to stop people from getting COVID or the spread of COVID or anything else. You're trying to manage expectations of who can live in the days of COVID. The whole goal here is to eliminate population. Remember the great respirator shortage that never happened? People forget there was no shortage of respirators, but they swore to God there was. No hospital ever went without a respirator. Not one. Hell, in New York, Trump sent a ship up to New York. Says, oh, you need beds? Hey, I got naval ships here we can just park one out in the harbor. You got all the beds you want. They never used a single one of them. Yeah. there hasn't been an honest media to point out that, that there's just thinking out there. There's just too many people out there. There's too many people on the planet. And they're going to replace some lower value workers, people who are just happy to have any job, with these Americans who think they should be in charge of shit. Yeah, and those Americans that are 20 years old and think they should be in charge of things, but don't take charge of their own lives.
Are you still logged into the game?
I think I am. Probably am. Yeah, I'm still logged in. What am I looking for? Sarah, I'm in 527, I think. I'm just farting around. I'm not staying in this kingdom. I can hear you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say if you aren't on the game, then go check out the main.
You cut out. Main what?
Main page of Entropia.
Oh, we can go do that. I want a gaming channel, man.
Entropia Universe. ENTROPIA.
Is this played via web page?
No, it's online.
Well, web pages are
Scroll
online.
down to why people join.
Thanks. Argonaut. Hold on. I may have jumped up here first. Why people join?
I'm gonna talk about making some money. You can make some real money playing this game.
See, I don't want to get in there where I start making.
Straight to McDonald's. Well, your advertising platform, you can actually advertise live stream inside the game.
Huh?
Actively to everybody.
I hate to see this on a web page, and then a few years later sold it for $635,000. It's
been out for a long time.
No, I
mean,
mean,
actually been out
this is
almost 20 years. As long as World of Warcraft has been out, this has been out.
Yeah.
My account's worth about 17 grand in there.
Sell it.
Probably put 700 in.
How long would it take me to build a $17,000 valued account today?
Kill one animal and win $300,000. You have to check the game out to get detailed into.
See, because I'm sitting.
Because of the way you break games down,
yeah,
this would be an awesome one for you.
I'm also partnered with people who build bots. If it makes money playing, why hasn't it been taken over by bots yet? I can't believe there's a place where there's money out there that hadn't been consumed by bots. That's what's hard to. Yeah, I know that's what's hard to believe.
You can't hack this game. You can use like a keylogger or an auto mouse clicker or whatnot, but you're not going to hack this game.
Well, that's not how bots work anymore. Now we've gotten into where video cards are so good that it visually. Well, I say that. So I'm playing World of Warcraft again, right? And one of the things I've got is a fishing bot for fishing and because that's a boring ass task in World of Warcraft, right? And my fishing bot doesn't work nowhere because they've gone in there and they fixed it to where there's a bunch of red in the blue water that you can't see. They put just enough red pixels in the blue that it screws up the bot and the bot can't see the bobber moving. Because it used to watch for the damn orange bobber. So it wasn't a keylogger or anything like that. It literally was something that looked at your screen, and when it saw the bobber move, it, hooked the fish and pulled it in, and it doesn't work anymore. You can't robotically fish. Not at least not with that fishing bot that I had. There might be a newer, better one out there. One with more detail. You would think there'd be one that would take advantage of my uber duper graphics cards.
So I got a buddy named John Jacobs. His game name in this is called Never Die. He second mortgaged his house in Miami on an open auction inside the game. He bid $100,000 on a virtual planet, virtual piece of real estate, and he won the auction. He made over $3 million on it the first 2 years. Sold it the third year for $980,000 in order to buy a planet.
Oh, I don't have that much trust in the digital world, man. I'm perpetual tinfoil hat. You know, any type of system that like that, people know what you're doing on the other side of it. You have to have great.
Because the way you analyze in your perspective on games, on how you would perceive this one.
Hold on. I will bookmark this. If I get a bug up my ass, I'll go ahead. But man, I don't want to get caught up in something. I got a bunch of shit to be doing over here in the next.
Spend money until you learn the game.
Oh, that's true of any type of thing I'm doing. Where the hell? That little beagle is just, or that little new dog is like, I'm going to tell this